Is this a video of your character flying around another storm, or are you actually flying around another storm?
It is a video I took.
Oh, I was like, "Oh, I wonder where we're going." He must have to send another layer or something.
it's just a way to like, show off all of it. I need to make like I didn't know Season of Mastery was gonna come out. I have one for all of vanilla too. I need to make it to where I've got uh I've got both of them in there because the ones from uh classic vanilla are just awesome. I'm not a
What, the flight
huge
path?
well,
Is
yeah,
that
just yeah,
the take that was just
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of just really the design style across TBC.
Well, it was exploded, Bob. It's not their fault.
Sanger Marsh
True.
would like a word with you. I'm just saying.
I do love Nagrand, but I guess it's very sci-fi for me. I think that's the problem I run into.
Less
Yeah,
fantasy and more like future.
when we went through the magic portal to the space floating continent, it did get a little bit did get a little sci-fi.
But
We got
we
spaceships and space goats.
yeah, we get it back uh in what's it called? Uh what what am I looking for?
Probably
Wrath.
Wrath of the Lich King.
Yep.
I'd take a guess.
Okay.
Well, Arthas was created by a space goat, so the Lich King.
I didn't know that. Really.
Now you do.
See, we need more our review at the start of the show even talks about it. We need more Yip lore time.
Oh,
Yip's
he's
Oh
our
drunk
god.
lore for
podcaster.
dummies.
Yeah, gotta there's some lore. We gotta go way back. Now
Uh,
humans,
Yip was
Bob,
appalled at how
do you
much we
wanna
didn't know about the lore.
I was a little
Oh,
appalled.
I'm like one of those click through the quest as fast as possible to get
So
to
are we.
the
Yep.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna throw you on that. Did you know that Illidan Stormrage was a night elf?
Yeah, I did actually,
Okay,
because
yeah.
I'm like a night elf at heart.
That's the
So.
one that blew my mind that I thought was just, like,
Me and Wiki had no idea.
common
Oh, really?
knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was
His
like
brother is Malfurion, which
I
is
know,
like the first like druid lord or whatever you want to call him,
yeah.
druid daddy,
We were just like, he
druid
has
daddy.
horns though.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
he
because he's a
consumed the
demon
power
man.
of the Skull of Gul'dan and became a demon, but he was a night elf who did that in order to help well,
He is in love with Tyrande, and
yeah, he
got
was.
cucked.
Yeah, he did.
So
See, this is the
he
lore
like went
section.
crazy. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
know enough. I guess I just don't know like new lore. Basically, when they were like, "We're gonna go through alternate timelines," I was like,
yeah, see, I
Okay.
throw out all that. Lore in the context of TBC, not in the context of
"Yeah, for sure."
Where it's at now.
well, the thing is, Illidan's actually a good guy, we just didn't know it yet.
We've been
It's
in a
not a fake,
dream.
mom. This is just how I am. Okay.
All right, I'll be right back and then we'll start.
Okay, bye.
If you have wine, I'm so jealous. By the way.
Hmm. I
Hmm.
do.
I have a lemonade. It's like wine, but not
Oh,
as good.
yeah, it's true. Oh man. It's Friday after a long week of work. Wine
Yeah,
is
It's
necessary.
necessary.
Friday,
Yeah.
yeah. Saturday,
Luckily,
Sunday, what?
hopefully, we'll be done in time for me to still be able to go buy some. So
Yes, we can make that happen.
nice.
I
Yeah.
miss being in Colorado where we could just order alcohol. Can't do that here in Kansas.
No, I
Yeah,
can't
they
do that.
deliver it right to our door.
It was awesome. All right. Oh, and I found where to turn ads off so we won't have to deal with that. They're completely off. They've been causing a ruckus on the shows for the last few weeks.
That's what you get.
Yeah, but I guess you can turn them completely off. Like they somehow tricked me with this like pop-up thing was like turn on ads and get extra revenue. They only run blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, I click yes. And all of a sudden it's going on like 90-second ads every 20 minutes. And I'm like, what is the deal? And so I finally had to
I
look into it.
I remember the night that Bob came to me and said, "Yep, I came up with a great scheme. I'm gonna play 2 minutes of ads every 20 minutes and pretend I don't know what's going on for weeks. And then we're gonna take that 50 cents and we're gonna invest it into cryptocurrency."
It was only 34 cents.
Our scheme didn't work, Bob.
It was ineffective.
Oh my gosh. Okay, my green screen keeps messing with me. What I can do? I can just do this. There. Fixed. All right. We are ready to go. All right. This one is just for me. Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic, TBC Classic, and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazing Bob, and we are joined once again this week by Ryan, aka The Yip Show. How you doing?
Hello. I've returned. I think I wasn't here last week. I've returned from my bed
It was
in which I dreamt and slept.
It was just me last week, and I was like, Mildred, Kim, save me.
Listen, I'm with. Actually, wait. I guess we weren't streaming it. I'm with Mel though. It's Friday after a long work week. I crawl to my home and onto my computer, and last week we didn't make it all the way to the computer.
It just wasn't going to happen. But also returned to the show after, unfortunately, she's been really busy as of late, but she's been gone for 2 weeks, but she's back. Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I had a very important obligation last weekend that I could not miss. So it was a bachelor party. It's my best friend. It's her second one. I told her she only gets 2. I'm not coming to a third.
Oh
And
my
she's
gosh.
pregnant. So she
Oh,
couldn't even
my.
drink. It was a hot mess. By the way, bachelorette parties at 22 are way more exciting than bachelorette parties at 35. Let's just
That's
talk about
fair.
that.
That's fair.
Fair, fair, fair. And for the first time joining the show, we have Kat, aka Aprikitkat. She does a whole ton of WoW streaming, and yeah, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming. We love to have more female voices on the show. I try to get.
He doesn't like mine, is basically what he's saying. He's like, there's got to be a competing voice for the females over here.
Well, I try to get so many on, and so many turn me down, and they do it nicely.
Probably sound like a creeper.
I
You should have me reach
that
out.
could be what it is. It's like, I don't know about this, but yeah.
Bob's like, I just want to talk to more ladies every time. Like, Bob.
Oh my gosh, you guys are horrible. All right, well, we're gonna
Third.
get into the show. I like to start the show off by reminding everybody that we are now streaming on twitch.tv/blazingbob. Come hang out with us, talk and chat. It's a good time. We're going to get into, we had one new review from Canada. We're going to get into what we've been doing lately in WoW Classic and TBC Classic. Then we're going to go over a little bit of raid progress along with a little bit of guild change that's coming for Vargflocken. Then we're going to do, there's just almost no news, but there's one little thing that's kind of neat. So we're going to do that in the news. And then at the end here, we're going to talk to Kat and get to know her better and talk about the hardcore scene, as she is the events coordinator. So let's strap in. And yep, we had a new review.
We did, and Bob underlined Canada. Exciting. Always exciting to get exotic reviews from all these places across the world.
Canadians.
A global community we've built here. Been listening. Oh, wait, actually, the title, the go-to WoW Classic podcast. Been listening to you guys since launch and love the content and personalities of the show. Learned a lot about the game and feel like you guys are my faraway guildies in a way. And I'm sure you've learned a lot of wrong things about the game as well. Format is great and have found myself enjoying the Lore with Yip section. More of this, please. Some ideas would be to do class-specific shows with ones you three don't play, as those seem to be covered well by your funky selves. And in vanilla, when we we're all warriors, including Mel somehow. That was
Oh wow.
no, we weren't. Mel
That's
wasn't.
not
Mel was
true.
a priest. But
But they
Bob and I
started
were
the
just
podcast with all warriors.
Yeah,
we
it was 3 warriors to start the podcast. It was pretty funny.
and we didn't know anything else. So, where's the Boomkin basics or the Paladin protocols? You have my full permission to use these titles. Bring on some guildies to chat about it, or if you can't find someone to chat about prop pals, I'm your source. Keep putting out the podcast, and I'll keep listening. Also, your Kim fully stocked guild bank sounds like the WoW equivalent of Shangri-La. Sorry, whoa, I forgot how to say it. For the Alliance. Raston or Rastan, prop pal on Bloodsail Buccaneers. Well, thank you for your review. I'm sure I can come up with some more lore. And, if we had any guildies that I trusted to play their class well, we'd bring them on. Don't worry. But nah.
I mean, I've asked guildies. It's oftentimes they're not comfortable with it. Coming on a podcast and putting yourself out there isn't something a lot of people I've found isn't something a lot of people
Yeah.
really want to do.
And often, if a guildie comes on, I'll start my own harassment campaigns against them and things like
Yeah,
that. So you
100%.
definitely the guildies never want to come on after that. I make sure people start mailing hate mail to Kim every time he comes on, but he still comes crawling back to us every time. But
He
thank you
does.
for your review. And
I do
if
agree that Kim Guildbank is legit.
have you looked at it recently? Well, we'll get into that in a little bit, but
Wow.
it's been pretty
Dropping the ball.
horrifyingly bare. But we'll get into that here in a little, I'm sure.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, well. Thank you so much for the review. Remember, you could put those in at iTunes, Spotify. You could give a star rating, but you still can't give reviews. And then you could also give reviews at warcraftradio.com/directory. So thank you for that. And let's get into what we've been doing in WoW lately. Who wants to go first? Should we let our guest go first, or should we go first?
Sure. I always go first, so I thought I would let the dead air
I'll go
play out.
first. I'll go first. What have I been doing in WoW? Well, I got a new CEO at work, so not a lot because I've been very busy. But I did play hardcore one day.
Well, we've played a few days.
I think it's been one, but okay. We'll go with a few. And then I raided, and then I got harassed by Bob for not coming to the off night raid. And I look over at his computer, and there's legit 25 people there. And I'm like, why are you harassing me like you need me? We have a trillion healers. So I'm fine. And that's all I did.
Yeah, we've
Short and sweet.
been doing the duo on hardcore. It's been interesting, and I was a little upset about it at first, but the 100% quest experience thing, it just hits that dopamine thing. Like, I don't know why, it just hits it. You're like, oh, well, we could just skip this horrible quest that we hate, that the items never drop for it. And you don't feel that
It's a
anxiety
nice
to make sure you
feeling
get it
for
done.
sure. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It is, but it's also not. Like Bob then like overdoes it. He's like, yeah, we could just skip this quest. We didn't get one. We killed
Let's
3
skip the
mobs. And
soul
I was like,
zone.
okay, we killed 3 mobs. Like, let's be realistic about this, Bob. And then, oh, I have to tell this story because we were duoing and we get this quest, and then you have to go down into this like cave beehive thing. And then you have to click on the quest, and then this guy leaves and you complete it, right? Well, Bob like tries to click on the thing right after I do. Some stealthy fast. It makes him really angry. And he keeps trying to click on it and it won't work. And so he like abandons the quest, but then he can't re-accept the quest because the quest was like from an item that gave him 2 quests or something.
Okay, so basically, it's that quest in Fairless where you're supposed to find the little bag in the
Yeah, I know exactly the
southeast.
one you're talking about.
Yeah, and you get that bag, and that completes the first quest. Then you right-click the bag; it gives you a new quest. Well, I guess, like you could only do that. You could only complete that quest from that guy for a certain there's like a timer, but I didn't realize that until we Googled it afterwards. And I'm just like, oh, well, I just got it from this bag. I'll just drop it. And then I could just reopen the bag, and no, and it's got a lot of follow-up quests too.
Okay, so this is the funny part though, because then we go back and he's like, "Okay, just tell me how much experience you got for that." I'm like, "Well, I got like 8K for this one," and then we went to the next one, and I was like, "Yeah, I got like 20K." And he was like, "Oh my god!" And then all night, the rest of the night, he's like, how much experience do you have? How close are you to leveling?" And like just so hyper focused on it, and then trying to blame me in some roundabout way. He's like, if this was you, you would be much worse than me. And I'm like, how do we know that?
You did
No, we
I
did
you
love
not
the
did
know that.
double ding though. You gotta love the double ding, right? They always ding together.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
He
she
always
would
dings
have
before me
ripped
though.
me a new one if I had done it
Right?
first.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
man, but yeah, it was a
He
good
was a
time.
druid, so he dinged before me like every time because he had all these stupid druid quests. Gave him all this XP early on.
I mean, that's fighting words. Careful.
I know. I had a druid too, but
I mean, she has
the
a
druid
level
druid
70
combo
druid.
was not. I do have a level 70 druid. I don't play it. I like my priest.
Oh, yeah, so yep, what have you been doing?
Me? Oh,
Oh,
yep.
no,
Sorry.
either
Go ahead.
either one, though.
Well, I'm short. I'll do it quickly. I've been mainly practicing my druid skills outside of the game. So I
In
haven't.
RuneScape.
What I've decided not to get a haircut or shave to be more like my bear. I've been growling at people at stores to just sort of really become attuned with the spirit of the druid. You know,
Really
if I'm
embrace it in all
I'm
aspects.
I'm gonna ride it out to the end of the expansion. Bob,
Can
that
we
was
talk about
far
the
too
fact that
good.
Yip is afraid of bears?
Listen. I don't know if I'm for everyone is afraid of bears, first of all.
No,
I wanna put
no.
that out there. Oh,
Yeah.
so you come face to face with a bear and you're like, "This is fine. I'm not afraid of a grizzly bear in front of me."
Well, it
You should
depends.
check your yeah, you might be
And
There's
psychotic.
like black and brown bears. Like they're different. You do different things when you encounter them.
listen, I like black bears, don't get me wrong, but I still don't wanna see one right in front of me.
Yeah, but the black bear
Um,
will run away. You're supposed to like attack. You're supposed to be like, ah, and it'll run away.
yeah, but I understand. I
Yeah.
know, but that doesn't mean I wanna be encountered with a bear. Now, you couple with my normal rational fear of bears with the fact that I have recurring bear nightmares. Does that make it a phobia? I don't know,
Yes.
but yes, I'm becoming more in tune with my bear. I haven't had a bear nightmare since I switched, so we don't I'm not afraid of myself, so that's good.
Just
Actually, I
to
might have
give
had one.
Cat just to give Cat a little
Raining as a druid?
background, Yip was a warrior.
I
Started
was a
out
warrior tank.
DPS, then he changed tank for the last half of Classic. He's been a warrior tank. He's been holding that strong, but he switched to bear for this phase.
Yeah, I talked a lot about how sick I am at warrior, then I dropped it immediately for druid, and so
Alright, okay.
I have to, nag on the druid a little bit as I play, but, no, I mean, I haven't really yeah, I've been raiding. That's mainly what I've been doing, um, same as Mel.
Good deal, good deal. All right.
Do you
Cat.
guys do Black Temple and Hydro
Yeah,
and everything? Okay.
Oh
mhm.
yeah, yeah. And we were
Um,
we killed Vash and KT like, when it was
Wow.
still hard and all that,
Oh,
So we
Yeah.
didn't kill him super quick, but
sure.
we
I thought you meant
did
this
Before
kill
you
week.
him.
nerf.
So
I was like, "Yes, we did Black Temple and Vash."
Look at us.
we're not amazing, but we're not horrible either.
Yeah, that's a good
I'll
explanation.
address that when we talk about raids, but Kat, what did you do? What have you been doing in WoW?
Um, wow, I feel like I live on this game, it feels like, and as a full-time WoW content creator, as you may call it, there's a lot of things to be done. But I mostly have been playing hardcore. I just recently got my attunements done for Black Temple and Hydro. I had taken I want to say a 3-month break off of rating. I was a GM. Well, to give a little like short history of who I was and what I did. In Classic, I was a world rank 1 feral DPS. I was in a super sweaty world buff like parsing guild, speed runs, execution runs, etc. We
Nice.
killed
It sounds exhausting.
Yeah, we killed KT first night that it was out, for example. So full cleared Nax. Um
Similar to our journey, but yeah, we'll get into that later.
uh
I mean, we were
in
world
TBC,
buffs, but like not like we weren't speed clearing.
yeah, it was a different time. In TBC, I decided to be the GM of a guild. I thought I could basically wrangle enough of like the hardcore community and enough of people from Bloodsail Buccaneers, actually, which is where the hardcore community was founded, to make a 25-man raiding guild, and it went really well for about a month. Um, it's unfortunately really difficult to recruit any guild if you're not a pedigree guild. It's really difficult to keep and retain good raiders. Good raiders always want to go up, and casuals kind of always want to just stay where they are or whatever, right? So that ended up falling apart, and then that's when I really got back into hardcore really hard. It was around that time that the streamer draft started, which was for the Road to Rag. Um, and it was hardcore was really quiet before that, before like this big event. Most people who streamed or played hardcore, were in a guild of like 20 people at the most. So, as this event kind of came to light and things were happening in it, this need to basically like have more people in management and everything like that, it arose really rapidly because suddenly there was guilds with hundreds, thousands of people in it. They're all interested in this cause, and that kind of put me where I am now, as the event coordinator and community leader for the hardcore community. I do a lot of stuff in the game, but I do so much more outside of it that kind of gets missed. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So
definitely. Leading is tough. Like Yip will tell you, Yip was, I don't know if he's fully in charge of recruiting, but he's basically fully in charge of recruiting for the last half of Classic, and it was always very important to have those Warcraft log numbers good, so that he could have clout to be able to get people to join. It was a rough time for him, and nobody knew how much work he was doing, but it was a ton.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
Roster
really
boss is
I
one of the
don't
most
know.
difficult things.
I've been in guild, like I've run a guild actually, and I've been an officer in many guilds, and what that taught me is that I don't want to be in leadership of a guild. Like it honestly changes my personality. Like I become much more responsible, and I don't like that. I'm just being honest, and so I do appreciate leadership, and when they do a good job, I really do appreciate it, and it is a hard job. If you've never done it, don't think it's easy. All right, so for me, I've been playing a ton. I did get into hardcore elite on my level 60 rogue, but I told Duraratosaur I just don't like. I need to make sure TBC is all up to snuff, and I owe that to my guild first and foremost, and everything. And I'd gotten pretty behind as I really just lost my mind in the hardcore challenge trying to get that first level 60. And so, I've been playing mostly TBC, and I've been loving it. I've been getting my rogue worked up. He's level 68 now, and oh, I guess I can't talk about that. Talk about it later. But so I've been doing that. I've been raiding. My lock has got crazy good gear now. I'm like only missing the BiS boots and the BiS weapon. Like I got the BiS offhand last night. Everything is BiS, 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 and been still doing affliction. But recently, one of our guild mates, Harry. Anybody who's ever watched me stream hardcore knows that my chicken's name's Harry, and it's named after him because he's just awesome. And he just came to me and was like, "Hey, I don't
It's
have
not because he's awesome, it's because he's the one that taught us how to do the quest.
The
true,
Let's
chicken
not
true."
was?
sugarcoat. I mean, he is awesome, but like,
Dude, I
Listen, you
always
just
get the chicken though. That's a rite of passage for the hardcore character.
Heck yeah. And
yeah, and
I never died with the chicken out. I would forget to have the chicken
Exactly.
out.
Chicken is best. I have
Definitely.
a
although
chicken
the
in my house right now. That's how much I like him.
the elf though, that I feel like was best when it was Christmas.
Oh, the Christmas.
We had our duo and we had elves, and I bought so many snowballs, and then Bob killed us. I can't have an elf anymore.
I had died to literally the same exact spot about a week after you guys. No lie.
Aw.
I died on a
Oh
priest.
yeah, and dude, that barn is scary, man.
I pulled one, and I had no idea 8 came. Like it was
Yeah.
4
Yeah,
men and 4 tigers.
yeah, it's
There's
terrifying.
You
no
just see
chance
like
for me.
my like screen. I was like, "What is that noise?" And I look back and I'm like, "Oh God, run!"
I saw your guys' clip. It was amazing.
So yeah, so he just came to me and just was like, "Hey, you have a ton of gear. I don't." Because okay, for a little background for you, Kat, I agreed to be the Affy throughout the rest of TBC. And so I'm, my word's my bond, and that's what I'm going to do, right? But he came and he was like, "Hey, you got all this gear. Why don't you go pump while I get gear? And when I get enough and I feel comfortable, I'll ask you to swap back." And I was like, "That sounds amazing." And so I get to go Destro next week and for, few weeks, I don't know, however long until he
Is
wants
the
to go
bear gonna
back.
hold aggro on you?
I don't know. We're gonna see.
It's the reason I main feral DPS and not tank.
Yep, I'm sure I'm gonna get yelled at a lot more because that was one beautiful thing about Affy. I could just go to ham immediately, and now I'm gonna have to pull my threat meter back out so I can actually see my threat.
I don't know how much I want to trash Bob here, but I kind of want to correct the record because I don't want to let Bob get away with this retcon of history here. In reality, Bob's very focused on hardcore, says, I'll be the Affy. And then exactly 1 week later, starts being like, do we even need an Affy? Do I have to be Affy? Does anyone need to be Affy? And it's like, oh, the regret setting in.
Okay,
Bob is like immediately
Is it not
regretting
fun?
his
Or you
decision.
want to blow things up?
Yip is absolutely right. Like I was like, okay, well I'll be the Affy because I'm doing all this hardcore stuff, and he definitely is right. I definitely regretted saying it. Like it is a bummer, like completely. But like I was gonna do it, but then one of our other locks right before the phase was like, "Hey, dude." So Crix was talking about on his podcast that like most people aren't even running with an Affy because it's actually a raid DPS loss. But thing is though, is it's not a personal DPS loss for the other warlocks and the mages and stuff. So it is a little better to just run the four destro locks, but we're not a speed running guild, and like people want to parse, and so you know,
Yeah, it
and we had just
uncaps
got a
other
new
people's DPS.
yeah, and we had just got a new our pally tank had quit. We got a new pally tank, and so the actual 5% less physical damage, like especially if I'm putting the dots on every single mob and like a big trash mob, like that really does kind of help him quite a bit if he's not geared yet. So it was definitely something that I wasn't gonna switch, but yeah, Yip is exactly right. I definitely regretted the choice, and and Harry saw that and he was a good dude, and he was just like, you know what, I don't have the gear yet. Like, why don't you go pump?
You
And
do
so
also have the gear to pump, so
yeah,
you get to pick up all your tier and stuff like right out the gate. So you're
it's either gonna be extremely exciting and cool or extremely embarrassing.
I believe in you. You've got it.
I
But
got a
yeah.
lot of my tier gear too. By the way, I don't probably because I don't need a weapon. Well, I do need a weapon. I'm just not going to get a weapon, right? But I got my second BiS weapon, so I'm not too worried about it. But I have, let's see, one, two. Okay, I only have two. But still, I have two tier pieces. I have my BiS bracers, my BiS feet, boots.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are the trash ones, right? We've gotten a lot of those.
Yeah.
I think
yeah, we
almost
have.
all of our healers have them now.
I got them
Are
Um,
you
first,
on
and I probably
Alliance or on
way
Horde? I'm
overpaid for
sorry
them.
to interrupt.
Oh
No,
no,
go ahead.
you're good. Yeah, we interrupt. That's basically what this podcast is. So go right
Are
ahead.
you a Horde or Alliance?
oh, Alliance
Alliance.
exclusively.
On what server are you?
Well, White Main.
That actually
That's
moves
That's
us.
a good. That's a great
Yeah,
transition
why
period.
don't you
So,
just hit
Oh,
that first
okay. My
instead of
fault.
red?
well, So Bob was saying a minute ago that we were only okay as a raiding guild or something like that. But we're actually the second best alliance guild on Whitemane right now. So we're
2 of
we're really
2.
going out there. Yeah, so the problem is we are 2 of 2 basically. There is almost no other raiding alliance guilds on the server. We're not doing Whitemane is not extraordinarily healthy, and the population is plummeting. We have made the decision. Benediction has recruited
Very
us.
It's very healthy for the horde.
It's very healthy for the horde. We are going to Benediction, though.
Is
We
that a
have made the
PvP server?
decision. It is PvP, but it
Oh,
is
okay.
99.99% alliance. So it is like super mega. The retail equivalent is like Storm Rage PvE. I think it's still like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
For the longest time, Storm Rage was like, it's all alliance. So it's basically a PvE server. Um, but it's Blizzard has made it clear that they don't mind having mega servers in Classic, so we are going to join them instead of continually hating on them and making fun of Benediction. We are swallowing our pride and we're leaving Whitemane. Unfortunately, for people in our guild who arena, it's like impossible to find partners outside the guild. Just like literally impossible to find any quality players
Or
still on Whitemane.
GDKPs, or
The black,
Pug
yeah.
heroics, or literally
Yeah,
anything in the game.
anything in the game is pretty dead right now. But for me, there was 2 major reasons we decided to make this change. The uh the first one being that people in our guild were already starting to move, not like their mains over, but they were starting to make characters on Benediction or transfer like their alts over to Benediction so that they could play. Um, and that is a problem because like we knew that sooner or later, like now your alt is the one you're raiding on Whitemane with, and your main is the one you're having fun on Benediction with. So that was going to be a problem. The other problem is the attitudes of people left on Whitemane is so horrible. It's just everyone is just endlessly talking about how the server's dead. There's no one talking about the game. There's no one trying to do anything. The auction house is dead. That's another problem. But it's like anyone trying to sell anything is just greeted by the server's dead. Go to Benediction. It's dead. It's dead. It's dead. And I honestly, it's for all of our mental health.
Well,
It was time to make the change. Plus, our guild it's such an incredibly healthy place right now that we're positive that we're not going to have any like transitional issues if we pull the trigger now. Pretty much everyone we raid with, uh, we've been raiding with for a while. They're all people like we all have strong connections in the guild, and I just don't see anybody. Like I can't even think of anybody right now. We're probably bringing 30 people plus over right now. I
it
can't
was
even think of
something.
anyone who wouldn't come with us.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
something I was asked on stream. Like, are you going to lose anybody? And what my guess was is that most people, I'd had at least 20 people tell me they're for sure going. And you guys had said in the guild, if anybody can't make this happen, let us know. So I'm assuming if anybody couldn't actually afford it, people were
yeah,
willing to help, and
yeah. So we have people who are willing to like pay for a couple of characters. We've got people who like, and honestly, the server is so dead now that I don't see anyone who would. There's an inconvenience with switching, but there's no one who's like, I want to be on Whitemane. No one's like, oh, I want to stay on this dead server. And we have this like we were laughing because we were talking about how we need to set up our new summoning spot for High Jaw because you can't get into High Jaw, and then we realized that on Benediction we'll just be able to use the summoning stone,
I've
and
got
it's
it.
like
It's a
like
crazy. It was last night, and we go, oh no, we're gonna have to create more summon alts and get them up there to summon, and then someone goes, well, we'll just use the stone. We won't have to use the hiding spot summon
we're like
area. We're like,
the
What?
summoning
mind
stone.
blown. I clipped it because it was so good.
I
Like, it
mean,
was just like,
even in a 50-50, because at our healthiest on Whitemane, we were like a 50-50 PvP server. You still can't really use the stone that much in
Right.
well, I guess there wasn't a stone in vanilla either,
yeah. I mean,
so
we
it
had
didn't
like,
matter. But
But you couldn't summon right outside the
yeah, you
raid,
couldn't
like
summon anywhere
right.
useful.
yeah,
I mean,
next we
you
Even
summoned
when
up
there was
top, right?
50% alliance, they were all just running into the instance and all the horde were still camped right outside the instance. I don't know what they were
that's
doing,
true.
but
The horde have always gotten to control the instance entrance while we hit on like the top of AQ or the top of
Right.
Nax, or now in the Cosmos and Hyjal. It's like ridiculous spot.
I love
But
that when I got summoned to Hydro last night, that there was all these picnic tables and like umbrellas and stuff. I was like, oh, well, this looks fun.
yeah, putting down the Valentine's Day picnics and
Yeah, I was
we're just having a
enjoying
good
it.
time.
Yeah.
Little respite
Also,
away from the horde.
I heard that Kim changed the spreadsheet that he put out for raid signups after
Yeah.
I like signed up because I was like, he posted it at the end of raid right when we announced that we were doing that, and I was like, okay, if I don't do this now, I'm literally just gonna forget and not gonna do it. So I just went and like put in the information I knew, and then apparently he changed from alts transferring to characters transferring, and it said like maybe one, and everybody's like, "Are you not gonna come? Are you
Yeah,
quitting?"
yeah. You had
Oh my
just
god.
maybe selected. We were like, is Mel quitting? Well, you were also it was an off night and you didn't come, which is fine. But we're like, where's
Mhm.
Mel? You hadn't rated for like 2 weeks as you were traveling, and then you're a maybe on the spreadsheet. I don't think anyone thought that you were going, but we were like, why is he a maybe? But
Keep me
yeah,
guessing.
so
But yeah,
uh, le-
there's a lot of good, we've complained about it plenty about Blizzard's lack of taking care of the server populations and everything. So we're not going to do that. But there's a lot of really cool things we're going to be able to do now. Like I logged on Benediction and just watching the looking for group channel just scroll faster. It was like Asmongold's chat scrolling, and like definitely going to have to use that looking for a group bulletin board. But it's so cool that there's all this stuff going on. There's going to be PvP pre-mades going on constantly, GDKPs going on constantly, MS over OS runs going. It's going to be back to what we had, during Classic, and I'm excited. And like I'll get to PvP. It's not a real PvP server, but I'll get to PvP on, in BGs, which is unfortunately Wrath would have been the best time to have world PvP because you would have had dual spec, but what are you gonna
World
do?
PvP. I feel like we've all come to the same conclusion. World PvP is overrated.
Yeah,
Overrated.
if you're not PvP spec'd, like it's something I've talked about. You guys weren't here last week when I talked about it, but it's a realization I had.
We've heard you talk about it.
But basically, when PvP servers started, people that joined them wanted to PvP more than PvE. So no, like at least up until AQ, there wasn't guilds. Like the top guilds had people, except for tanks and like maybe some healers, but you were basically PvP PvE spec'd. So like your one spec was actually fine to do BGs, everything, and it changed to where, you had to be a PvE spec, and like that's why I think it didn't work, in new Classic, is because it just people wanted to PvP. But if I'm PvE spec'd as a Fury Warrior and I won't even engage with somebody walking to a dungeon, I'll just walk, let him hit me, and then I'll walk a little bit further after I res. If I won't even do that, then it's a problem. So I think
I
that's
just
why it
think
just never worked.
I just think, and we heard this as we talked about transferring, like, of course, this has been an ongoing discussion for a while. Um, you have a list of like every activity you can do in WoW, and you want to stay on like a dead server where you can't pug, you can't do heroics, you can't do normals, you can't level, you can't quest, you can't do daily quests. Like, there's all these horrible negatives, but you won't transfer because you can't world PvP on Benediction. You can have all these other things. You can have a healthy auction house. You can have all these benefits. But because I can't world PvP, well,
Yeah, I'm
I
definitely
just think that
fine.
like
Exactly.
it's the lowest tier
Yeah.
of like what people actually want to do in this game in my mind.
Yeah, and
I could be wrong,
honestly,
but
world PvP is the best in my opinion, is the best in vanilla when there's no flying mounts. You guys, that's what I thought it was the best, and I wish we had had dual spec just because I think world PvP would have been a lot less toxic and a lot more fun. But It's we've talked about that at ends. One last thing on the server transfer. Been getting a lot of flack from people because I pushed hard for Grobulus, but there were definitely. I'm going to give you a chance
Dead
to.
server.
I'm going to give you a chance to give the reasons, but everybody's like, why didn't Yip want to go there? It's an RP and there's all these events. Like he sounds like he would love it, but I'm gonna let you tell, and then maybe I don't have to repeat it over and over again on my stream because I do agree with the decision. I still would have made the other decision and just taken a chance, but I agree with the decision because most people wouldn't be able to move again. So go ahead.
Well, the first thing is we're as a guild about to drop tons of gold worth of guild bank moving and tons of real life dollars, probably much over $1,000 to Blizzard to move to a server that might be okay versus going to the server is going to be good and stay there. If you look at Grobulus's numbers, they actually already look horrible. So Alliance is falling and Horde are rising. Now, the amount of Alliance there is a pretty decent amount. There's probably still a lot of activities there, but I've seen the trend, and it's
It's like a
going to
good place
continue.
for an alt, right? Not really
Yeah,
for a
I'm sure it's a good place for an alt, but whether it's by whether it's by Isle of Kildonis, whether it's by Wrath of the Lich King, Grobulus is going the same route as White Man. If you look at population numbers, they're gonna flip and it's gonna become a horde server eventually. We're not gonna have 30 people transfer multiple characters to a server that we don't know is gonna last us to the end of Classic.
Yeah, it's
We
just
already
not a
know.
sure
That's
bet.
fair.
Yeah, Blizzard has already made the statement. Well, they haven't made the statement. Their actions have made the statement that not only do they not care if there are mega servers, they will actively implement changes to force mega servers to exist, right? Giving free transfers with no faction restrictions to Benediction, to Faralina, to White Mane to further ruin these servers. We can't trust Blizzard and go to Grobulus and hope maybe they'll fix something like in a year, but they've already let us down on the server situation. I'm joining the mega server, and I've played on mega servers before. They're pretty fun. You walk around Stormwind and you see tons of people all hanging out doing stuff. It's awesome. I would have loved to go to an RP server where people are slow walking around being like, "Hail and well met,"
came
but
from Bloodstale. I wish that it would have done better, That's
yeah.
too bad.
Yeah, like I have my these are Grobulus is an ideal, right? A 50-50 server. People are having a good time in RP and there's a newspaper, but we when you have real money at stake, our guild banks and everything, it's just we got to go to where we know we'll be stable for the rest of Classic. And again, we're not like this is not a guild of 15 core players where it doesn't matter who else is there. Every single one of our players is basically a core player. These are people we've played with for a long time, or they're friends of people we've played with people for a long time. We're in a really stable place, and we want to make sure that everyone gets what they need from wherever we go. And going to the mega servers is the easiest way.
That's a
We
good
really
point
have
too.
a good group of people, and even when we lose somebody, we seem to be still like really
We get
solid,
better.
right?
We get better every time we lose.
Yeah, well, I
we
mean,
Every
do, we're
day.
we're refining our guild down to the perfect.
and I do take the easy way out because I say I wanted Grob, and I did, and I would have pushed for Grob. But had I been in Yip or Harskar or Stoof or any of the leadership situation, if I'm making the final call, I'm pretty sure I would have chosen the same course Yip did because I don't want it on me having people move for our guild and then get screwed over. Like that is a very different choice than me voting for Grobulus. So, what to say that too?
I'm gonna get this out of the way too. I'm like, I don't want to go on a huge rant, but this past week, Blizzard put out bundled retail server transfers where you can bundle like 6 characters for like $80 or like 3 characters for $75 and save money. And they did not apply that sale to the place that actually needs it. So their game that you can not only cross server play, you'll be able to cross faction play soon, right? You'll be able to, like, literally server transfers cannot matter less on retail. You can boost a character, I think, and just get, like, leveled and geared in a week. And then for the server that they're like, or the servers that they're actively like harming, they're not bundle server transferring for us. And I think that that is like, it's such a tone
Because
deaf
they know
slap
they've
in the
put us.
face.
No, they know they've put us in a position
Yeah, we're,
where we have to.
but isn't that an extraordinary malicious meeting when
Uh-huh.
someone says,
Yeah.
well, supply and demand, they have to. It's like, okay, dude, like they know that the product's worth less on retail, so they're doing a sale. I just think it's a huge slap in the face to classic players.
And the
Um,
sad
it's
part
just
Yeah, like why
is
sad.
even do it
we
on
might
retail?
have it
You know what I
like
mean?
2 weeks after we all move.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
which honestly, I'll be fine with. I just want to say that if they put out a sale for classic a week after I move, I'll personally feel salty, but I will think that that is a good move. I'll still say
Definitely.
thank you for doing that for
They're
the
gonna
next
hit. They're
people.
gonna hit their like goal of how much money to make off of transfers and be like, all right, now we can put in the discounted transfers with all the Varg people transferring over.
The problem is, like, maybe I have a really dumb view of like businesses, but it actually isn't that much money in my head. When someone be like, "Oh, I bet they made $30,000 from that move from these couple, like from these set of people," and it's like that.
Mm-mm.
See, for being annoying, that is like not that much money. Or let's say it's $100,000. It's like
In the grand scheme of things, like
you
that
do a
profit
sale,
level, yeah.
yeah, like the PR from not annoying all of us, I feel like would be better, but yeah, that's just
Well, and
me.
I do feel like they're gonna lose people, right? There's gonna be people that just quit instead of transfer, and
Oh
that's
yeah,
worse
for
for
sure.
the game
I mean, we know
than
tons of people who have just quit.
yeah.
Like, like it's just so yeah, it's fine, but I think that the retail sale is a huge slap in the face, and it just makes me sad.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, but either way though, I am excited about this move going forward, and it is definitely a positive move, and I think it's going to be really neat. Like I was thinking on my rogue that I would just get him to level 70 and wouldn't do anything with him, and now I'm going to be able to do GDKPs. I'm going to be able to do, you know, BGs. I'm going to be able to do all kinds of stuff I just didn't have access to for a long time. And so it's a pretty neat move, and I'm excited. And yeah, we're gonna move
So wait,
forward.
when are we making this move? Because Yip and Harskar made it very clear that people should not transfer right
It's
away.
after next raid week. So as soon as we're
Okay.
done raiding next week, you are allowed to transfer. But do not transfer until we're done raiding
Be
next
like, I'm
week.
here in benediction, ready for raid. Where are you guys at?
Yeah,
Why is
that's what we
nobody
were
on?
afraid of. People just like pulling the trigger and piecing, but yeah. Hey, maybe if we're lucky
So
there'll be a sale by next week.
yeah, right. So
Maybe.
Apricot, what server are you on, or were you on in TBC?
Able at the moment, which is like the PvE mega server, I think, for Alliance.
Okay. Is it Are you
I was
Horde or
just
Alliance?
I'm Alliance.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Its active population is about 10K. So I think it's like
Yeah.
pretty similar to what you guys are working with Benny.
See, I
But
just assumed you were Alliance because you said you love Druid, and the Horde Druid cat is just horrible. So I assumed
I
you
don't
had to be
I,
Alliance.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, but
I agree with it. I actually chose Alliance as a vanity move. I'm a Horde main from TBC forward of like the normal uh timeline of WoW, but when I was presented with the idea of playing Horde or Alliance in classic WoW, because I didn't think it was going to actually stick around. I thought it was kind of a meme when it came out.
Same.
I was like, why wouldn't I want to be purple and adorable instead of like
Right?
okay, but when you see your glowing eyes when you're stealth through the back of your head, it's a
I love
little
it. I love
disturbing.
it. There's nothing about classic Night Elf Druid I don't adore. It's like literally my ammo at this
I,
point. So
I mean, I like it, but I like the spooky horde ones too. I like Tauren.
no.
The thing is, I'm okay with Tauren. I
I
hate
like
Horde.
Torrent too.
I'm okay with Tauren, so that's
I'd
why
rather
I've
be
got
a
I
no.
troll
hate
druid though.
Horde. I'm okay with
Yeah,
Torin.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Listen,
good.
the Tauren are like, they're good guys.
Yeah, I did not go Horde until Blood Elf came out. in like the original timeline because I was not about to pick any of those
And
characters.
that was an argument I make on stream constantly. I say I'm not racist, but delete the blood elves. I really believe that Horde wouldn't be the main population on retail as it is if it weren't for blood elves. That I
Yeah,
think
you can't give him a
Yeah, I
cute
think so.
class. Like,
I think it would still be really close 50-50 because nobody wants to be like a ugly character, especially not to sound sexist, but women. Like
yeah,
we have to stare at the
agreed.
back of a character for 300, 500 hours, whatever. Like I better be
I want
cute.
to stare at an orc. Like,
Hey,
come on.
I don't think it's. I mean, I want to be a pretty character too. I always pick human male because I think that looks the coolest. Sorry, like
It is a
I think
fantasy game, you realize though. You can be
everybody
anything you
says
want.
that,
You
but I'm
want to
like,
Yeah,
be a
yeah,
human.
but I want
I'm
to
a big
pretend it's
believer.
me.
I live here.
I'm so secure that being a human male warrior is just the most secure thing you can be. Like, I don't need to be a crazy magic
That's fair.
wielding
That's
orc.
fair.
I'm just I'm
I'm
okay
just
with
a
just this
really
guy with a
powerful
sword.
human.
Yeah. Yeah. Until
Zug
then,
zug.
once you can start using two-handed swords, that's when they make warriors into magical classes. They start start throwing those swords around like crazy, heroic leaping. Now it's come on. I want to walk slow at human pace. I want I want to be slowed down by my heavy plate armor. I need some realism in my human warrior.
All right, well, yep. So that's happened. Did you want to go over anything in raid? It was pretty
I
dang
do.
good. Yeah.
We had a sick raid. We finally, after all this time, although Bob being the only person who disagrees with this for some reason in the entire guild, we finally have a boomkin again. We dropped down to 5 healers. We made our second druid. We usually have 2 druid healers because
Hold
both
on.
Jasmine and
Hold.
Carpet are incredible.
I gotta stop you there. I just said it's an overall raid DPS loss, but I will say I changed my mind immediately when Spellcheck pointed out to me. He was like, "Well, we have too many healers. Would you rather not raid with Carpetron because that's a DPS
Yeah.
loss?" I was like, "Okay, fair. Yeah, I
Yes,
wouldn't.
Bob,
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna
going
go
from
that."
6 healers to 5 healers with a boomkin is in fact a raid DPS increase. And
Yep. Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And so it was only like leave the Carpetron out
as
or bring. Exactly. So I was like,
yeah,
okay,
I
gotcha.
and as a feral druid, and the feral philosophy for some reason is do not be hit cap. I am finally hit cap now that we've got our sweet bird boy in the guild, and he did incredibly. He kept fairy fire up the whole time. I was so worried. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to yell at him all the time, be like, hey, make sure you keep that fairy fire. Nope, doing a perfect job. Excellent. We got our 3% hit. The warlocks got some kind of benefit too. Who cares about casters though? Only us melee 3% hitters matter, and yeah, going down to 5 healers, I was worried. So the main plan was for Tuesday nights where we do high jaw and the easy Black Temple bosses. To have 5 healers then. I think 5 healers on Council and Illidan seemed like a crazy person thing to do for us. It just didn't make any sense when we were already struggling on those bosses. Like we're gonna wipe on those bosses with 6 healers. Like going down to 5 seems a little bit crazy. Um, but because of like just the way the week was going to work out with absences, we ended up having to do Black Temple on Tuesday, and we already had the boomkin ready to roll out. So I was like, well,
Oh,
let's just send it as far as we could.
also, I
Yeah.
do need to clarify the raids that do this, that do get a raid DPS gain, like they have a restokin, so like they still have that buff. So
Um,
yeah, so like they just don't have
they,
the
they don't
boomkin buff for the casters, but they have the
they don't all use Restokin. You can just not use it. It's
no
not
no
like it's the
yeah,
biggest thing in the world.
but like
The
I was
3%
just
is
saying, yeah.
um, but yeah, so we sent it with 5 healers as far as we could, and Mother wasn't too bad. It was like a little bit spooky at times, but it wasn't bad, and the DPS is just incredible with the additional boomkin. And then Council was where I was like, there's just zero chance that we're gonna be able to do it. And we one shot Council with 5 healers, so that was pretty exciting. Even with like early deaths too,
We
we still got through it.
the casters did a different strategy. Well, I like you know from the pod, I was doing it like from the start, but we basically just flopped between the paladin and the mage, but like
Yeah.
all casters were doing it this time. FJ organized it, and so basically we were just switching when the the
Yeah.
debuff was up, and it worked out really good.
Yeah, I would also attribute it to the range learning how to move out of AoE as as a no offense, but as a melee, and things are a little bit hectic in melee. When I see a range you can't move out of a blizzard, my eyes are rolling out of my head. So
I mean, I can't argue with that there, and like I feel kind of
As a
bad because I
healer.
was affy, so like I could do a lot instant cast while I
and move,
move.
yeah.
Like moves I don't normally use when stationary, like like life suction or whatever it is. The dot
Life tap?
siphon life.
Oh.
Life suction.
I
Life
That's in the
thought
name now.
suction.
Yeah, that's permanent.
oh my it's kind
Oh
of
my
cool how
god.
like that could have been like multiple warlock spells. Life
Yes,
Yeah,
right?
but to like, defend the Destros, like, if they move, it's a huge DPS loss, so
Yeah, this
maybe
is
they're
him
just counting out
Yeah.
healers.
preparing us
Yeah.
for next week when he's Destro. This is all Bob's doing right now.
Yeah,
Is like, please still heal me.
tell the tank that the Destro Warlocks can't move or they'll lose a Shadow Bolt and they should
Uh-huh.
just die instead.
No,
I'll,
tell the healer. Tell the
No.
healer that you freaking can't move because you need a shadow bolt. Like, get out of here. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, whoa, what's happening to this warlock? And what frustrates me is I wish there was a setting on my raid frames that I could show when they're life tapping and when they're taking damage. Because I feel like sometimes the warlocks, like during those things where they're not in the blizzard, they start life tapping so that I'll heal them too. Because they think that, and I feel like
I mean,
Yeah,
a
they
good warlock's
strategy.
gonna like weave life taps in or life tap like as they're having to move. But some warlocks will just be
I
like, no
stare at
mana,
the
tap to
warlock
full.
frames.
No mana,
Listen,
tap to full.
I am a healer and I stare at the raid frames. That's basically my entire job, right? And I
Yeah, I
can tell
get you.
you, there is no warlock that is weaving in life tap because I see them go do 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 their mana, and then it's like
Well,
health,
that
health,
isn't
health,
true
health,
I
because
health.
you
know
can
why.
watch my
I'm
VODs and I weave it
I'm
in.
Bob, I'm gonna explain why. I know what the Warlocks are doing. They're telling each other that they should tap during high raid damage, like you said, Mel, so that they
Yeah,
blend in with everybody else. You're right. They do it when blizzards are coming out, so they can pretend they're part of the blizzard. Like, oh,
right.
oops, haha,
Like I don't know where they're standing when I'm looking at their raid frame, right?
oops. But
I'm gonna invent that. That needs to be an add-on.
everyone did good though. We don't
Yeah,
have to complain about the
really
Warlocks.
good.
Everybody did good. We killed it. Then Illidan gave us some trouble for some reason. The first time, um, I think we just wiped to our paladin eating a melee from the demon form. That doesn't sound right, but that's what I think happened. That can't be right though, because we had 5 healers. Nope. Okay, yeah, I was wrong. That was last week. He died to the final phase of Illidan. He just got destroyed for some reason. Illidan hit him in 2 GCDs. Illidan hit him for like 25k. Not none crushing, no shear, and it was very bizarre how much damage he took right there. So then we did it again, and then we had our other druid die on an infernal during that phase, which is fine. I think it was just a lot of raid damage going out because of where people were standing. And then I think we got him down after that, and it really wasn't too bad at all. I think next time we'll probably be one-shotting him, even with 5 healers. It was really, really clean.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, we had a tank that couldn't show up Thursday, so we didn't get to do our solo, duo, triple farm of the BT trash, which we did all last week, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, it'll wait till next week. But yeah, it is a good trash farm.
but it was crazy because we literally one shot every boss all the way to Illidan, like one shot
Yeah.
the entire way. It was really good.
Yeah, no, it was like it was really fast. Like it was like our best run yet of like any raid for our server. Um, so that was like really not. I'm not saying like no one on our server did better. I mean, we've never done better compared to our server than this last week. So like I said, we're at our healthiest. It's transfer time. We'll be leaving next week and we'll join the masses of benediction and join all of our old friends. It'll be nice because we are holdouts. we'll see all of our old friends. A lot of us have been playing Classic for since the beginning. All of our white main buddies who are all on Benediction now are there waiting for us. So we'll go there, and even if you make a level 1 and walk around, like so many Alliance white main guilds
Yep.
are there. Players, you can just
Tons.
like you can walk around and literally it feels like a fourth of the people you see are from white main, and it's like, hey, I know you. Yeah, so it'll be interesting, and I think it'll end up being a really really good change for us.
Yep.
But
And
that's
big,
everything. Very
yeah,
easy. Bring them on.
big shout out to Carpetron too, because this guy's TBC journey has been amazing. He started out as one of our tanks in our Kara runs, went to Resto, now Boom McKin, and has played each role top notch. So like
Yep.
it's such a good person to have on our team.
Huge fan of raiders who just do whatever we tell them to. Cannot complain.
All right, well, let's move into the news. So the news is real short this week. Did anybody get a chance to listen to this interview? It was an interview with Brian Birmingham. The last time he did one with Wowhead, I complained and said, "Come on, give me video. I don't need this, this written out
The written
interview."
one.
And they listened, and they did an interview with him during the arena tournament, and he talked about quite a few things. Um, Lots of arena talk, but like he talked about a lot. So, did you guys have a chance to check that out?
I did watch some of it. It was okay. I don't know. I'm
It was
not.
okay.
It was all right.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's
I
any.
did not watch any of it.
Okay. Well, if anybody has anything they want to bring up about it, all like I mean, most of it was about our arena because it was the arena, like tournament. But the one that I thought was interesting was they kind of at the end talked about the arena teams and possibly thoughts on them taking arena teams out and going to the personal rating that that retail uses right now. So to explain for anybody, in TBC you have to have a team. People have to be on your team. They lose rating when they leave. They have to work it back up when they come in, but you do have an MMR, but it's like a little janky to leave and join teams. This would be something where you all would all have your own rating. It would give you something in, some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Where you some sort of average of your MMRs, and then it would just queue you. So, what did you think of that?
I think it makes sense. Like we have some weird zombie system right now, just like an abomination sewn together. Because what they wanted to avoid was like the real janky just arena team rating that they had in TBC, where you had no personal rating whatsoever, and you would just like join a team, and it was sick. That was awesome. So you do have like your MMR, right? So you do have your personal MMR that they added for like the changes in TBC. But I mean, I feel like the system's fine. It's not. I don't think it's that great. So if you switch to personal MMR entirely, I just don't think it matters that much. I think you may as well just full send into the full better system because I do think it is probably a better PvP system altogether. I think that they shouldn't make any changes this expansion though to anything because we're in season 3 right now, and there's 4 arena seasons.
You
People would
so
buy
you
it,
wouldn't want it for 4
absolutely.
though.
I do not want it for 4.
Okay.
Wait, what did you say, Aprikit?
I think people would riot at this point. There's too many people who offer carries and whatnot. They there's just there's real money. I think is something that people don't really realize too. That's kind of happening on the underground. If they were to just be like, "We're doing this," it would probably be good for like real WoW players. But the people who are actually playing the games and stuff would freak the fuck out. Pardon my mouth.
Yeah,
That's
like
just
I agree. I do think it's a better system. And again, I think any drastic changes. I did like the item changes because I think that uh, that was I don't know bringing in some of those crazy items into arena was a little bit absurd. So I was fine with those changes for the most part. But I think any like massive changes should just always wait, especially if they're doing seasons for other expansions, which I guess we don't know that they're doing. But if they want to do TBC again and redo it with a new arena system, that's fine. But we're in the middle of season 3 right now. Like what? Like it's just so bizarre to make changes so late in the game. Like these are what they should have been thinking about during vanilla to fix for TBC. Like you know don't they shouldn't really be retroactively changing this stuff too crazily just because they like regret how they launched it.
I think, I think that's true, but it has been interesting because basically there's just so many things we're learning throughout this classic journey that we'd kind of forgotten or maybe not thought about before. And, they're trying to do their best. Like, they are changing stuff pretty fast, but like they are trying to do their best to like really, really figure out what everybody wants. And I do respect that.
Yeah.
Yep. So he just talked about, them taking out the belt, the engineering belt, which was a huge good change. He talked about the matchmaking window. Now, I will say this has been a little rough for me, like especially just today. So I've been doing a lot more PvP again, and man, we we were getting like I'm doing it, because I left and did hardcore, and as I was gone and neglected all of my teammates and friends, they all found new teams and new people to play with. So now I'm playing with my friends' alts. So, like, we were getting matched up against like 1,800 teams, and it was just like, whoa. And we were sitting at like 1,100, 1,200. And so that was a little weird. But the good thing is we weren't losing anything, but the teams that were beating us weren't gaining anything either. So I don't know how good that specific change really was. Like the change where you could be grouped up with teams that are way higher or way lower than you?
Well, you do queue in the least prime time possible.
True, true, true.
So yeah, I mean, I kind of agree, especially with a game like WoW, where I don't know. When do they implement the change where after you come out of queue, you're back where you were and not back in the city? I feel like that kind of fixes everything. Because
I
then
don't know.
if there's a long queue, you just go out to the world and you quest and you mine and you do whatever, and then you go into the arena. You come out of the arena and you quest and you whatever, and then
Yeah.
the way it is now, like you have to be around the Grand or you have to be around Shat, and even if it is a long queue, like a 10-minute queue, you fly away, you fly to Nether Storm, it takes 3 minutes, and like you're just wasting so
Yeah.
much time. So,
Yeah.
a change like that would make it a little bit better, and I think allow people to have slightly longer queues, but um, having to stick around the queue place when you have 12-minute queues, I think they did want to lower that by letting you play 1,800 people and get your butts whooped.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
maybe
it
you won.
was
Good
definitely
lord.
a well, I mean, we did beat some teams that were quite a bit higher than us. We were cheesing it with double healer and
Ooh,
me
yeah.
as warrior, and that's pretty freaking fun for me because that's just CC City with a druid and a priest, and then I'm just over here just slamming on people. But
Yes.
um, did anybody watch the tournament?
I watched a little bit of it actually. You're
What'd you
talking
think?
about this most recent one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I just kind of had it up on Lurk a lot. I was watching uh I just like to see, what class representation there is, and obviously being a druid, like druid is a great PvP class. They have a lot of answers for so many things. I was
It's
trying to
so
pick up.
hard though.
It is, but if you've played the class for a really long time,
Okay, maybe.
kind of know all your tools and tricks and stuff, right? So,
Oh yeah, they're super
um,
powerful.
I
Well,
really
that's
like watching the double DPS teams though in the arenas, and just how, like, when I do double DPS, I almost always instantly die because if they have a healer, like, there's just, you don't have anything, right? Like, you just melt.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, that's actually one thing I wanted to bring up because when everybody was theory crafting TBC Arena and talking about it, everybody, and I mean everybody, even me, like guessed it too. Like I didn't really know, but I guessed it. Everybody thought shamans had no place anywhere but fives. And it was so cool to see so many turbo teams and these enhanced chamois just wrecking things, and it was
Yeah,
like, that was
absolutely.
neat to see, maybe I don't know, that part I love that we're seeing things that we didn't know were gonna happen, and that was something that I just wasn't expecting for threes at this point in the game, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some cool comps that are floating around, and people can do a lot. I think people get really down on like comps, but we do it in our guild all the time, and you can have a lot of success with some really weird comps. I think people need to be more open to just getting in there and doing arena. But yeah, I mean, you do run into a lot of the same old meta comps though. when you the
Yeah.
more you even if there's cool ones in the tournament, the actual population.
Yeah, I think what it boils down to is some comps are just easier to play because of the different tools. But,
Yeah.
you get into that top end and, like, you could really see what these different classes could really do, and I thought, like, that was neat just to see so many chamois 'cause I watched it the first day that chamois team comes out, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know," and then all of a sudden, they come back, like, there was a lot of, like, like, reverse sweeps. It was pretty exciting, and I thought they did a really good job with it, like, it was a really good production. If they keep this stuff going, like, I'm excited for the future of it, and they gave an actual good prize pool, so, like, this was a win in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a lot better than it has been, right?
Oh,
The prize
yeah.
pool.
Oh, yeah. Way, way better.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I like arena. I'm not gonna say that I take TBC arena as like any kind of real esport, but it is cool and fun. But but I still feel that other way about it. I don't think it alone stands on its merits as a game when there are like alternatives out there, but it is good.
See, a lot of people talk about, and even the casters were talking about during it, they're like, "Well, this is TBC, there's RNG involved." And I kept thinking to myself, "Well, isn't that Dungeons& and Dragons at the core? Like, RNG, you roll the dice, Like, I like
That
RNG.
that is why Dungeons and Dragons is not a competitive esport, and instead, and it instead is something fun you do with your friends.
Alright, well, I thought it was really cool, and I enjoyed it, so I
It,
hope we get
it
more.
definitely was cool. I'm not down on it, and I would like them to do more. Uh, but yeah,
Yep, yeah, they talked about he did hint at another tournament coming around the Zolomon time, so we'll have to see what happens there, but, if anybody else wants to talk about anything else? If not, I'll move us on. Everybody good? Okay. Let's move into discussion. All right, this week's discussion, we're gonna get to know Kat. So, anytime we have someone on this show, we like to get to know them because so many content creators, you know what they do, you know what they talk about, but we want to know you. So, first off, like we want to know your WoW background. Like, when did you start playing WoW in the beginning?
Gosh, okay, so I played Classic for a very short time. I
Wait, classic or vanilla?
Sorry, vanilla. Yes,
Gotcha.
yes, okay,
We do
sorry.
that all the time. It's a common
I
mistake
know because in
everybody
my head
does.
it's just Classic now.
Yep.
So I played vanilla and I was an orc hunter and I didn't know that I could change my class or my race. And I got to Ogremar at like level 7 or 8 maybe, and I had never played. I played EQ for like 5 minutes. I had never played an MMO. Like this was all brand
Ah.
new to me. Someone sat me down on a computer and said, "Make a character." Um, and I whispered this hunter and I said, "Hey, like your pet is really cool. Where do I get that?" And um, the person was like, I'm not a hunter. I don't know what you're talking about." And then their pet ran away, and it was a druid in travel form. And I thought the cheetah was their pet, and I was like, I can be that. And then I never stopped being a druid. So I made a druid. I made an alliance druid, and I got into Molten Core, and I was responsible for staying out of combat and battle resing people and innervating people and teabagging people when they died. That was
Wow,
it.
that
Mm-hmm.
would literally
That was
Mel's.
me.
Yeah, that's Mel's vanilla journey.
Yeah, I was a druid and I was like, "This is gonna be so great." Yeah, and I was an innervate bot for the priest.
I didn't even know like what was going on. I literally like managed to scrape by to 60 like barely, and um I like corpse run my entire way. I ended up in Eastern Plaguelands at 30 something by accident, like no idea where I was. No concept of
It's
what
great.
that was. Um and it was very shortly after my first Molten Core experience that TBC came out, and TBC was my first experience really socializing in an MMO. I became a GM of a guild called Devious Behavior. It was like a small social guild with me and my like ex-boyfriend and like all of our friends in real life, and then a bunch of like misfit
Was he your
kids kind
ex-boyfriend at the
of thing.
time?
Yeah, well, yes.
Oh,
Um,
really? He was your
Well, no,
ex-boyfriend
no,
at the
no.
time.
Sorry. Well, sorry. Anyway, there was a reason the guild
Ah,
broke up
Sorry.
eventually, but
Moving on.
um, and that's when I was the main tank for Kara, and I started raid leading, and um, as it goes with small social guilds, eventually people want to go up, and some people never want to progress, and it was kind of funny. The same thing happened in this TBC that happened in that TBC is that the guild broke up because there just wasn't enough to keep it going. Um, and then I never stopped. I leveled my druid through Wrath. I was a very competitive raider then. I did every expansion. I did cutting edge mythic wise on retail for many expansions, many different bosses. Um, and then BFA came out and it was kind of bad. And I say kind of like gently. Uh,
Yip's on the same page with you here.
Yeah, so I liked Legion a lot. I played with a lot of friends, and then BFA came out, and then I was like not invested whatsoever. I wasn't really a streamer then. I really started streaming when Classic came out, and I started streaming my journey, leveling to 60. I was like, look at me, I'm a cute little night elf with my stupid little night elf druid cat form. Like you don't see these anymore, and it was all like, wow, what a memory lane kind of thing. And then it like actually stuck. Like tons of people were playing. I was on an RP server and people were, "Hail partner, come, bring me 7 shiny furs and I'll reward you with 1 silver." And people were really doing that and it was crazy. I found a whole new side of the game from an add-on called TRP. Have you ever heard of it?
Mm-mm.
It's
Mm-mm.
total roleplay and it allows you to basically create a D&D character for your WoW character. You can take permanent damage. You can have little trinkets that you wear, or what do you see about the character when you first experience them. Just
Interesting.
a bio, a history, a theme song. It's amazing. It's a whole nother universe of WoW. And that was so cool to me. There's plenty of communities on retail that use these add-ons to create this entirely different side of WoW I'd never seen before, which was this more fantasy like role-playing game. It was really
Yip's
cool.
dream.
And that's
That's
where how I ended on Bloodsail was because it was the only RP server for NA. And then it's just been since then. And it just
I grew up on RP PvP, and we had an add-on where you'd have your full, you have your first and
which
last name,
which
your
server were you
bio,
on for
mail
RP PvP?
Maelstrom.
Oh, I was on Twisting Nether,
Oh yeah, I was just thinking the other was
the other one.
the go-to. Yeah.
What server were you on in Wrath? Curious.
Twisting Nether still.
Twisting Nether.
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, I think the server really died in Kata, but I was very casual uh from the end of Kata into Warlords. I didn't play a lot, and then at the end of Warlords I came back and started raiding really heavily in Legion and the beginning of BFA. So it's
So
kind of a weird time for a while.
so you kind of hit on it, but so for me, I came back to Classic thinking I would just play till like level 40 and, maybe get a mount, nostalgia. This is super cool. And I turned out to be really wrong. Now I have a podcast about it, but why did you come back to Classic and then why did you stay?
I think I really was starting to feel like the new systems of WoW were so convoluted and overwhelming and hard to like in my head I was like I could play classic WoW and be casual again. Which is so funny because I ended up in like
But
a parsing raiding guild with,
But you don't need to log
world.
in every day and get your.
but you can, like, it is definitely like a raid loggy type of thing. Like, yes, you can go above and beyond, but it's definitely because Mel and I were also in top guilds, Vanilla and Wrath. TBC we only PvP'd, but like it was a huge time commitment to actually be in the top guilds when you're actually doing real progression, and it's 5 days a week, 5 to 8 hours a night. It's a very different thing. Whereas
The reason
now
I
you
didn't initially
can,
come back. I was
yeah.
like, nope, that ruined my life once. I can't let it happen again.
But now you could do that. Now you're just going the above and beyond is going for like the speed run stuff. Like it's definitely you can still get all the stuff though without having to be crazy like back in the day. So you were kind of right. You just decided to take on the hardest challenge once again. Right?
And it's yes, and I very much enjoyed my time in any of the high end guilds I ever was in because it's hard to like explain how well, and you would know as a raider, like when it works and it's efficient and it's fast and the loot goes out and the good stuff drops and nobody dies and it's just that feeling isn't like anything that you get in different facets of your life other than if you like run a business or something and you just have like one of those days where you're just like holy cow like everything went right today and doing those like those BWL runs in 40 minutes or less like start to finish from the first trash to Nef dead and no one dies, everyone has their world buffs at the end. It's like a feeling that you don't normally like get from WoW. It's not the same in retail. You die over and over and over in mythic progression and in mythic plus and in PvP. It's just constant like rebuff go again, kind of have to have that mentality, but
From
it
what I
was
hear,
totally
like you
different.
just res right there, right? And you
Yeah,
just go
exactly.
like right again. There's no like walk back or there's no
Your cooldown
break, right?
too. You get your cooldowns back, so you can just go and go
Just
again.
keep going. There's no seriousness to losing people. There's no seriousness to using your battle res because it's back. And classic had that severity that when it went well, it was such a nice feeling, I guess. And TBC too, to some extent, still has that, although you lose a little bit of it because no world buff meta. Only 2 elixirs, so you're not spending like tons of gold to progress and stuff like that. Whereas in classic, you're spending so much if you were constantly wiping, if you were full
Ooh.
consuming, mongoose, strength, like just all the things, all the
We
stuff.
were
So
warriors. We definitely get you.
I know
You could,
I was feral DPS, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I
We don't
know
know
same.
the
exactly.
feeling that you felt after running in 40 minutes with nobody dying. That is not a feeling we've ever felt.
But we felt the lows though. We've been lower than you could possibly be on retail after you
Mhm.
lose all your money and your world buffs and you're still have to clear the content for the night. And you're like, oh
Right.
god, here we go. So
Yeah.
there's a big difference between our good nights and
There was a big controversy against the healers when somebody died. Let's just be real.
yeah.
Well, and I paid healers. I said, please don't let me die on Vale. Like, please keep me alive because I'm gonna
Smart.
be at 2200 DPS today and be #1 feral on Earth. And they would be like, all right, how much? We'll make sure. It's a tank dice, no big deal. Like,
Yeah, see,
so
I was just nice to the healers, whereas a lot of the DPS
wasn't
Your
your
weren't.
wife's a
wife a
healer.
healer? Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
Oh no, but like
Yeah.
don't let him die.
you never heard me say a bad word about our healers throughout the entirety of Classic because
Yeah, because your wife's a healer and she gives you some of the healer
Yeah.
insider chat, right? Where I'm like, yeah, we just stopped healing that person because they're an absolute asshole
You can't
and
blame
we're just
the
done.
rest of the guild for our healers sucking, okay? That's not our.
oh
Oh
man,
god.
yeah. I mean, I think that is like something, and it's hilarious because you hear people talk about, oh, I forgot how, I heard a lot of content creators talking about it during Lady Vash progression, and they're just like, you have to do so much to get back, like, it's just like, come on. I'm like, yeah, well, that's, that's what makes it good. I know it sucks, but it's kind of what makes it good. It makes it meaningful.
No, you're nuts. Lady Bash was 13-minute wipes. It is not good. That wasn't
Well,
fun.
exactly. Like Illidan wipes. Well, okay, this was actually my favorite TBC like wipe story. Is I did almost 200 pulls on original Archimond. Mind you, we went into Hyjal like 5 or 6 months after guilds had been clearing it forever on my server. It wasn't new content. It wasn't gated the same way back then.
Mm-hmm.
But like it took us forever to kill KT or Kael'thas, and then it took us forever to kill Vosh, and then finally we get in there and almost 200 wipes on Archimon, and that run back through the whole Caverns of Time, through the whole like
Ridiculous.
dungeon, yeah, all the way over to like the Loon camp or whatever is like insane. Like, and those were long wipes, just like Vosh, and the
But
just
it really punished you dying, right?
it
Like I
it
feel like
did 100%.
if it doesn't punish you dying, then there's no real
It didn't
motivation to
feel
try to get it better, right? Like
right.
you're just like, okay, let's just go try again. If you got to all like res right there and be like, okay, we've got our cooldowns, like let's just try again, you would just like bang it against a wall until you
And that's what
got it.
mythic guilds do now, is they just throw shit at a wall till it sticks, you
It's
know
like,
what I
let's
mean?
try this time, or let's try this time, right? Which I don't know. There's a certain mentality that like, hey, that's kind of nice, right? Because you actually get to like figure out different nuances and different ways to do it. Because I felt like our guild, especially in Classic, where it was like when we found a way that worked, it might not have been the most efficient way, but we knew it worked. So why would we
Exactly.
change it right now?
And it didn't matter because well, especially back in the day, there was barely DPS meters. I found a screenshot
Uh,
from when I was maintaining Hyjal, and all I had was a threat meter
Well,
and
I
a
can tell
grid.
you for sure, I had damage meters in vanilla
Sure,
on I like I didn't have it first in Molten Core, but I definitely remember having it on Vash. Not
but there
Vash.
was no Warcraft logs. It's if you
No,
did
no, there was
DPS and
no
you didn't
Warcraft
die,
logs.
that's all anyone was excited about, was like, "Hell yeah, boss is dead, got our loot," and, like,
hmm
I was number 1 DPS, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like,
Yep. I
there
mean,
was
and
no
that's all
comparing
it
yourself.
was just
Yeah,
like competing with someone in your guild and then talking about it on the forums, different DPS, but like people lied, and I'm sure, it was
and yeah,
like there was no
it
way
didn't
to
even
know.
exist to me then, I guess, I don't know.
I don't know. I hate logs now. I hate them. I'm a healer, so I hate them. I'm like, what are these other healers doing? Who are they healing? Like, what if nobody's taking damage? Who am I supposed to freaking heal?
Yeah.
I'm very bitter.
Yeah. I mean, logs are a problem across the board. There's so many ways to cheese it, and it is what it is. But like Yip said, it's just good to look at them to be able to see how you could do more on a fight. It is a really good tool. I will have to say.
The
My
best
favorite thing
resource to
about
learn to play. Sorry, go on.
What?
My favorite thing about Warcraft logs is any fight that you have logged, you can go back and visually watch a replay
Mm-hmm.
of. And so I love to watch like those really bad wipes where everybody freaks out and panics, and you just see like this one mage going like all over the place. I
Dude,
do love
Yeah,
that.
you
that
get to
part
see
when
that
someone
one
showed me
person
that,
that doesn't die. You get to see that one person that doesn't die and keeps running away from the mob, and you're like, just die, just die. We can't get in the instance until you die. And they're like, nobody says anything, and you're just like, come
it's
on.
always the rogues trying to live and run, or the hunters trying
Yeah,
to
right.
just get back to their like feigned death. But yeah, we actually someone first showed that to me during Four Horsemen progression back in Dax, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever."
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like, the funniest part of that was watching the first attempts of our healers on Four Horsemen back in the day, and be like,
Okay.
where are they? Because it's like they have to rotate as they have like their group call. They're like constantly rotating around, and as we're like practicing it the first few times, it's like, where are these healers go? I mean, not that anyone else knew where they were going either. It was not like a specifically
Right.
problem, but healers have the like, it's like the most egregious to look. I'd be like, there's no one in this corner. What happened?
Oh my god, and we made it so complicated, right? It was
Dude,
like
it was like, all right, so
red group 1,
Yeah, red
Green
group.
group.
1, 3,
And it's like, how
4,
do you know which
79.
group you're in? Okay, yeah. And then I remember like running to like the next one, and you literally just ran in a circle. It wasn't like you had to zigzag or do anything complicated, right? I remember running and then somebody following me and being like, am I wrong or are you wrong? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm right here. I've got this weak aura that yells at me to tell me when to run, but
I do
I
not miss
don't know.
40-person raids where it's just like,
Oh my
1,
god.
it's hard to keep track of what everyone's doing, and then 2, it's hard to make sure all 40 people know what is going on at the
Or
same
even
time.
Listen,
in
40
Discord.
people, 40-person raids definitely allowed less skilled people to just kind of skate through, right?
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely. Less
when we
personal
went to
responsibility.
25, it was like, oh, or even when we went, like when we first went to TBC and it was 10 mans, it was like, yeah, you're the only healer, so you better figure it out, right? Like, or like there's another healer, but everybody knows who's doing what, right?
But it's one
So
of those healers, so now
yeah, I got bingo
black.
next to me, so I
Yeah,
gotta really pull
exactly.
my weight.
Exactly. Listen, especially at the beginning of this expansion, we had a couple AFKing healers in Karazhan's.
100%.
A couple shamans who'd
What
just
are you doing?
like, what? Why are they all the way back there? Ah.
So,
Nobody knows.
so what's your favorite expansion?
Ooh. I want to say that Wrath is my favorite for play wise. Yeah. And I really like most of the raids for the like I'm not a huge fan of the Argent tournament stuff, but it was
Dude, me
necessary and it
too.
made sense.
Same.
Yeah. It wasn't terrible. It was kind of a good like middle. And then the most forgotten raid of all time, Ruby Sanctum, which did anyone do that really? I don't know. Um but I want to say something sort of controversial that a lot of people kind of get upset about.
Oh
And
no.
Do it.
It's
I've
Warlord
really
or isn't it? Your favorite expansion.
Huh? It is or it isn't? No, Wrath is my favorite, but what I really don't like about every expansion that we had experienced up to this point was the whole, "Hello, welcome to the new expansion of World of Warcraft. Here's a brand new continent out in the universe or out into Azeroth that never existed before that just suddenly appeared." I really liked Kata bringing it back to classic. And that was something that for the leveling experience I thought was so cool. Why is Azeroth static? Like Tatooine coming in and splitting the barons was like crazy. It all being underwater in Thousand Needles. Like I thought that was so cool and a lot of people hate it.
I
They
know a
loved
lot
that
of
classic
people.
they love that classic like this is what it is and I know every quest by heart, but I really enjoyed bringing it back to Azeroth and like going through the dragon zone in the wetlands like Grim Batol, some of those like things that we never got to explore in classic or were like never fleshed out.
Yeah, things
I
I
just
should have
really
never
liked
to
I
begin
really
with.
liked that.
Dude,
So there's a lot
that's
Without
of
awesome.
being there.
Yeah, that's awesome that you say that because that's what I did like about Kata. Like I thought it was really neat and a lot of people hate it. But I definitely thought that was cool too. You know, and like
Heroic Finds. I want to go back and kill Van Cleef's daughter or whatever that Deadlines was about.
Yeah. Well, why would the world be changing? We've been progressing through these expansions for, like in their timeline 10, 20, 30 years. Like, of course, Van Cleef is dead. We killed him a thousand times. Of course, his daughter took over. Like, I just thought it was a cool concept. So,
Yeah.
um,
yeah, I
Wrath has
definitely
the
agree.
best raids, the best nostalgia, the best storyline. For the leveling experience alone, I loved Kata.
Dude, Kata leveling was really good. Like we quit like or Mel quit before the second tier of Kata, but then I played like later, but then I quit like I don't know, a month into the second tier and it was just like I don't know, the rating I was not a big fan of, but like I was
Yeah, I didn't
also
love it either.
yeah, well, and I was also I just recently found this out. We talked about it with Jamin when he came on. I didn't realize this was the case. So I always had real life friends that would come back every expansion and do at least the first raid tier or the second raid tier as 10 mans. It's something we started in Wrath. It was really fun. But then we just could not beat a 10-man to save our life with our real life friends. Like, Mel and I were in a 25-man guild that was, like, dropping everything pretty easy, but, like, our 10-man real life friends, we couldn't do anything, and I found out that they had tuned them the same, and I never even knew that during the time we were playing, and all my friends are so distraught. They're just like, "Well, this isn't fun, like, I'm just gonna quit," and it was because they had done this weird tuning thing to, like, have the 10-mans be the same tuning as the 25-mans, and you get the same gear, but the 10-mans were way harder, and it just it
It was more personal responsibility again, of
yeah, but
like in a
it
bigger
was
group.
yeah, it was just more than those friends could handle. Like, they were very casual, and,
Oh
like,
yeah.
it just kinda puttered me or poo poo-pooed me for the expansion going forward, and then I went to the Star Wars, MMO, Night or the Old Republic, and then yeah.
Which was
Yeah,
another really great
weren't you
game.
one of the first Jedi in that, Bob?
No, I was one of the first Jedi in Star Wars
Oh,
Galaxies,
that's
which was
right. Sorry.
before World of Warcraft.
That's right. That's right. My bad.
But yeah, the Old
I'm getting
Republic
all these
was an
Star Wars games
awesome
together.
leveling
I
MMO.
I I have an important cata question. You like the leveling experience? You like the water zone? I forget what it's called. Where you,
Vajar.
yeah, yeah.
I remember it being annoying, but I loved that it was different, right? I loved Deep Home. It was like different.
Mm,
It didn't. It was like we'd never leveled underwater before,
yeah,
right? And it
sure.
was very innovative. And a lot of people seem to think that Kata was the expansion that they like did the 3 tier
I did
like
too, but
talent
it was
trees.
mob,
It's
right?
not though. It was mop. Exactly. So a lot of people like hate on it for that, but you still had the talent trees like as they were,
Yeah.
just a little better. And I went back recently to look at them because I was like, what if I want to play a public Kata server, not private, public? Um and I was looking at the builds and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. You just got only one talent point for every other level." So
Yeah.
I had thought it was the original, like
Yeah,
3
well,
tier.
and like, okay, so yeah, you're talking about the leveling underwater, like the underwater zone, right, in Kata?
Mhm.
I hate underwater, but I didn't hate that. Like, I feel like they made
They gave it a little
changes.
speed buff and stuff.
Yeah, they made subs. They made a few changes, and I don't remember what they were, but I remember not hating it as much as I
It
hate
wasn't
underwater.
underwater. It wasn't underwater and like you're swimming around like it is like in TBC if you're killing stuff in a lake. You had like eventually you had a special amount. There's like places you could like run in
You
and
had the
yeah, you
seahorse mount.
The
yeah,
seahorse
yeah.
mount was so cool.
Yeah.
Then there was the rare seahorse you could get too, which I
Which
always loved hunting
I
the rare mounts.
I got I was my gold journey started in Kata. I made a bunch of gold and I dropped 55,000 gold on Poseidus. And then later in retail, they made it so that I think everybody in the party
Can
no.
loot
It's
it.
everyone in the party can loot it and it spawns like every hour instead of every like once a week. But
Oh
in
my
Kata,
god.
it
Maybe
was like
because
once
people
a
were
week.
making so much money on the auction house
Yeah.
from
But
sharking that
I was
mount.
so like I was like my pride and joy. It was such a bad mount. You couldn't even show it off to people. And then they made it easier to get and I was like, I'm ruined.
I'm
Everything I
ruined.
have.
My
Okay,
whole claim
so
to fame.
Wrath is your favorite then, right?
Yeah.
I
I
think
really hope that I'm not remembering it with rose-colored goggles, though, you know?
Oh
well, I
yeah.
mean,
'Cause I felt really strong about TBC, and I'm kind of like, TBC right now. Like, I'm still enjoying it. I'm just not like as woo
I'm
TBC as
We're
I
all
once
gonna get
was.
hit. We're all
I'm the
gonna get
same
hit
way.
by a Nax pill. We're gonna go into Wrath and we're gonna go to Nax and we're gonna be like, this other game's out. like,
I
yeah,
liked Wrath and or I liked Nax and Wrath because I never got the experience to experience it
yeah,
in
same in
real
actual
Exactly.
life.
Wrath. Yeah, in
Oh, I
Exactly.
actual
thought it was
Wrath, yes,
cool.
but this time though,
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
time
know.
might be
I
rough.
had
But
to.
there
I
is a
know.
lot different, like there's
Which
a
is almost just gonna
yeah,
be more annoying.
yeah,
Right? It's
It
like
looks
easier.
so
well, no.
simpler. Like
It was annoying when we went into Nax and like everybody's like
Misremembering
remembering
Nax. Yeah,
Wrath Nax and we're like, "Wait, no, I don't think that's the way it is here." Oh crap. Okay, we need to look that up. Like I I
first of
think
all,
as long as they do it quickly, it won't be that bad.
the only reason that's a problem is because occasionally in our guild we get I don't know what's the best phrase. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Sure.
Too many
Yeah,
people
yeah.
keying up on Mike saying, "Actually, this is what it does," when they actually don't know.
Actually.
We have officers who do the research on every raid before it comes out. It's only the people who key up when they're not supposed to. Or like,
Yep.
I think this
Listen,
is
I
how
was
this
in
works.
There
Yip's
was
first
no
era. He
engineers
didn't
in
do shit
vanilla.
for
Yep.
research.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all. That's where that's where misinformation comes from.
Oh, but
We need to turn off push to talk and turn on like Discord stage where like only certain people are allowed to talk.
oh man.
No. Ruin
Well,
all our fun.
yeah. Well, I think Wrath Wrath was especially early Wrath was just a really good spot for quality of life stuff, and everybody liked it so much. I think they went too far because everybody liked the quality of life stuff so much, and then that's where retail started falling into the trap of, well, this
Do you
is
guys
literally just a town game where you can go anywhere without moving anywhere.
do you guys remember the day achievements came out? It was like the 2 weeks before the end of
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
TBC.
the pre-patch. Yeah.
That was
Yeah, I
such
do.
a crazy moment for WoW, and I remembered mocking it at the time, and they brought that immediately into Wrath. Rating up until that point, or PvP, or even things just as go read books in Stratholme, wasn't like a thing. It was just like a little like, here's an Easter egg. Did you read the
Right.
book from the Winter Spring quest that says spirits, the spirit guide to speaking to ghosts or whatever, and you open it up and it just says, ooh, like
Ooh.
it's my favorite quest of all time. But um now there was this achievement to go to kill the boss without somebody dying or like nobody dying,
Mhm.
right? That's how you got the undying mount, the time lost proto drakes, all those like, or not time lost, but the black proto
The
drake and the
iron, red iron, and so yeah.
well, there was this whole new entire expansion that had all these mini games, and for a lot of people that was like really exciting. For collectors, it was
You're
something new,
you're
you
talking
know.
to a guy that the day that came out, I finally went ahead and uncovered every part of the map in every zone that I could so I could get the map achievement. Like
The
I was
explorer
yeah,
title, yeah,
it
absolutely.
caught me
I went
hard.
and redid heroic dungeons that I hated just to get it checked off the list.
Yep.
But Wrath was the beginning of that, and we didn't have this sort of like mini game like in TBC. What I did when I wasn't raiding and farming my dailies or my stuff was everyone hung around in chat Wrath and just kind of showed off their gear. You're like, oh, I'm Elder, so I
Mhm.
sit at the Elder Bank and look at me. I have all my tier 6 and my Pillar of Ferocity, and you knew people by their reputation, and there wasn't looking for group, and you only ran with people who had like a good reputation. And now all of a sudden there's this whole new expansion built on like go out, do stuff, be free, like find stuff to
Be
do,
free.
never be in a town. And
Yeah.
the end of Wrath was the end of that, I think. Like there's
Yeah.
still all that achievements, but now there's this, you're going into like expansions where they want you to just be sort of self-sufficient, have all the alts to get whatever you need. You don't need to trade with people. It's easy to level and have
The
max alchemy
community
and stuff.
aspect went away, right? And it started going away in TBC, let's be honest, right? And then
Right
it
at the end,
just
yeah.
slowly continued.
It
Well,
grew up with
dude,
us though. We're all raid logging TBC right now, and that's just like
Yep.
I think WoW grew up with us. There are people who play retail now and love like a lot of the stuff that happened in there, and I think that in Wrath, like we half the stuff that we say or we complain about TBC are stuff like that they change later, that they change later on because
Right.
all the stuff, all the retail stuff are like addressing the problems that players had to begin
well,
with for the most part.
I will say though, TBC, it's crazy because like I didn't notice this until I went back and did the hardcore challenge, but now I'm leveling my rogue, right? It's
Mhm.
crazy how much different, easier it is to level just because of aggro range. Literally, TBC, there could be a mob one level higher than me, and I just walk right past him. In vanilla, like that was a scary situation, like
Absolutely.
I mean, like, it's crazy how different that is, and I wouldn't have noticed it had I not went back to classic
They
while
freaking made the
playing
game for
TBC.
casuals.
I
All
mean,
these
there's
darn
definitely
casuals
hards.
ruining my vanilla.
There's hard stuff, but it's interesting how transversing the world, even without a flying mount, is so much easier.
Yeah, yeah. because it's like they were like, well, what's important to people? Getting like aggroed on and like getting demounted in the middle of a road, or is it just like getting to their destination? And you lose a lot of character of the world when you take certain stuff like that away. You know, when you're flying over
Sea
zones, you
World
lose
isn't
character.
scary, right?
Yeah, yeah, you lose a lot of it, but you know, when someone comes home from work and they're not getting demounted on the road, they're getting they're getting into they're just LFGing into their dungeon. Like it's good for that person as well. So it's tough. It's a balancing act that is very tough, and I think with so many different people playing Classic too, it's really hard to say what people should be doing. Like, is it better to keep content hard or keep people playing? Like, there's just so many factors.
And then they have a different audience now, and I'm sure that you've probably
Mhm.
talked about this many times, but who we are as people playing Classic are not the Zoomers and the I mean, maybe some, but I would say at least 50% or greater of the population playing Classic WoW, TBC WoW are likely to be 28 or higher. Um, Maybe even 30s, 40s, 50s. I raid with some people that are even older maybe than that. I don't know, but I think so.
Yeah, 100%.
Do they have the time? They have families, they have children, they have do they have the time to spend to invest to it take 500 times more longer just to level, right? Or do they just want to get into their systems and play the game and do
Definitely.
the
I mean,
content?
in our raid, we have baby aggro with a few different raiders, and it's okay. Like it wouldn't be
Yeah,
okay in like the crazy good guilds, but like it's okay in
it
our
wouldn't
sweaty casual guild.
it wouldn't be okay if they were worse players, but
Right.
our best players have kids. What are we gonna do?
Right.
Oh man. All right, so the last question I have for like you personally is basically like alliance or horde? Like not what you play, not what you did play. Which one's better?
Yeah, pick a side and let everyone
It's
judge you.
hard because I think like the storyline kind of got convoluted along the way, and you're kind of forced to make emotional decisions based on the storyline that kind of went awry. It's kind of like Star Wars, right? Like we had the perfect three, and then they were like kind of effed it up, and it was whatever. And then you're at the end of like the series, all nine, and then you're like, well, heck, I don't really know where I stand. Um, I am a horde main at heart. I play Alliance. I do think Alliance fuck everything up. So I guess I have to go horde at heart. You know what I mean? Like they
Alliance do
don't.
fuck a lot of stuff up. I don't know a lot about the lore, but I do know that Alliance does fuck a lot of shit up.
I think that they think they're on this righteous crusade, and the horde is just like, well, we're just doing like what real humans do, like kind
I
of
mean, you guys
taking
have mud
advantage of
huts
land.
though, like I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, okay,
Well,
so
I
like
know, I
I don't know
know.
a lot about the lore, but I watched the movie and it's weird because the movie
The movie's not.
it wasn't
Hmm.
great, I know, but I definitely felt the horde side of the movie and the orc side way more. And like those characters felt more real to me than the actual live action humans playing in the movie. So maybe that was their bad. I don't know, but all I'm saying is that
Well, I mean, if the story is a Pocahontas story, then you're gonna feel bad for the horde. If that's the story you're gonna tell, then yes, the humans are gonna look like the bad guys when it's like, we just want a land for our people, and the whole alliance are like, we're gonna kill you.
Too bad.
It's like, oh,
They
okay.
did kind
But
of a bad job, like with voicing it fairly, but maybe it was
yeah,
meant to be that way. So
yeah, but those tones are absolutely there. Like if you read Alterac Valley like quest texts, and the Alliance seem like the bad guys. They're like, get these filthy mongrels off this land. It's like, oh my god, like this is
which is the whole joke we
oh.
like play into with the mud huts and stuff, and hopefully
Well,
everybody
it's
does
just
know that's a
like,
joke.
well, it's just like, dang, dude. Like, all right, I get it, but it's complicated. But
it's
yeah, I don't know.
complicated because that bitch burned my tree, so I'm
It's
still very mad
complicated.
about it.
Yeah.
Well, it's complicated because orcs, it's not their land. Well, actually, it's a troll problem that I think that is weird. I think the treatment of trolls is worse than the orcs. Orcs came from a different planet. We have no moral obligation to orcs. Trolls, however,
Yeah.
were here first, and when we kick them off the land, I think it's actually worse. But orcs, you can understand it's a difficult situation when vicious people, demonic orcs come through a portal.
Shit.
You know, it's like, oh god, like this isn't good. But and then as time goes on, the problem with the Horde versus Alliance question is anyone who plays retail immediately starts thinking of Sylvanas and like recent stuff, and it's just like I don't know, like this is a whole
Oh my
different
God.
question now.
So Aprikit, do you still play retail?
Actually, probably my next stream Monday is going to be Classic Andy reacts to 9.2. I did it to 9.1, and then obviously when it what is the name of this expansion? Shadowlands. When it came out, I did that as well because it came out when Classic was out.
Yeah.
I don't. I keep my character always max level. I've always had the same main, so her name is Aprikit, obviously, and I'm a troll druid, and I like to still, go through the storyline just to make sure that it's still shit. Basically, not fair. I really, really want it to be good. I don't have the time to commit at this point anymore to dailies, especially time gated ones.
Yeah.
Renown, getting legendaries, doing Mythic Plus on my characters every week, and doing whatever, all that stuff. It's
Right.
just, I could make the time for it. I have no interest, I guess.
In
Do you
losing
think there's any hope for
everything.
retail? Like, do you think they've gone too far that it's too hard to go back?
I think
Or
I think like if you look, for example, just at the popularity of between classic streamers and retail streamers, that it's split almost 50-50. I'd say a majority of the largest classic streamers are bigger than most of the retail streamers, but there's more retail streamers that are like somewhere in between that, right? Um I think there's still a lot of people who still really like it. Now, is it copium or whatever you want to call it? Like, oh, it's my game, it's garbage, but it's my garbage. Like, that's kind of how I feel about Classic too. Like, everyone's like, oh, why aren't you playing Lost Ark? Why aren't you playing Elden Ring? Why aren't you, playing whatever other MMO or RPG or whatever just came out? And it's like, because it's WoW's garbage, but it's my garbage. So I don't know. If there's hope, it's only just for the people who have nothing else to hold on to, right?
Or the people that have played it the entire time. Like I could never go back to retail because it's just bloated. Like I would be overwhelmed immediately
I'm
and not
overwhelmed
be
every
able.
time I log in.
Yeah.
I can like okay, I'm like okay, I'll just go do an old raid and clear it and get some transmog stuff. And if you think about how much content it does offer, even for the casual, like it's a great game. I think there's plenty of people who are always going to do that. They're going to do the collecting, the mount stuff, like they don't want to do that high end whatever. And then you see the race to Mythic World first, which will be next week, and it'll probably have 400,000 people watching it or more. I don't even have any concept of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, retail's so accessible to anybody. Like you said, you can go back and do old stuff. You can hop in and do new stuff. You can raid find. You can group find. You can do normals. You can do PvP. Like there's anything you can just have. You can log in and like have fun playing a game and like whatever you want to do. Where in TBC, I like TBC a lot, and if it's what I want to do, but it's like if you're just like I'm someone who likes WoW, it's like well, what's there to do? Like get ganked and get told my server
That
sucks.
was what
I'm
was so groundbreaking about the hardcore. Because
yeah.
I've been with hardcore since basically ground up, like since the days where 4 people were in the guild. Nam Nam was one of the only people streaming it, and like even Cargos quit. Nobody really thought it was going to go anywhere, honestly.
Well, I mean, I think Duranosaur was still streaming it too, right?
Tyrannosaur, yeah, he did stream, but he was like me. He streamed hardcore and PvE. Like he did his raids and like he had Dark Moon Fair cam because he was on a PvP server. But
Yeah.
uh it was really small. And what it was that was different was it took like every version of WoW I've ever played was hurry up and get to the end. Right? Like
Yep.
hurry and get to 60, hurry and get to 70 so you can start raiding, so you can start PvP. You can't do anything before that. Nothing counts before that. Hardcore was like nothing happens at 60. Just get there. So enjoy the journey. Use the stuff that you get. Go fishing. Spend an hour fishing. Spend 4 hours fishing. it was like the weirdest version of WoW that I ever played, even though
Dude,
it's always been here and it was always the thing that like was the way it was meant to be played originally, you know?
my highest fisher in Classic, because I definitely had fishermen like in Wrath. Wrath, spoiler, it gets a lot easier to fish in
And
Wrath
there's
and
the
to
turtle
work it up.
mode, isn't there?
Yeah, but my highest fishing of any Classic character is on my hardcore 60 rogue, and it's because I had to, like, and
Yeah, you
that was
needed
one of the coolest
for
things I thought
upgrade
about
probably, right?
hardcore. Yeah, it was
Dude, I
neat.
found vendors that sold me wands and different things as a
Yeah, I
priest.
had no
Like I was
idea of
like,
these
there's a
things.
wand vendor in Stormwind?
Well, like the scrolls and all the little like world people who you'd be like, oh, this guy has this two-handed axe. Like I got one today, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't even know that I could buy this weapon. You know,
Yeah, right.
It's
Now,
nuts.
Mel,
it was
imagine
just
that.
a
Imagine
different
that. Sorry.
version of WoW than I ever played, even though it's always been there. And it was,
Mm-hmm.
it's why I really took it to heart because I like everything about the social aspect of MMOs. But as we like progress further and further into expansions, we're watching like ourselves go away from that socialness again. Like
Mm-hmm.
again, I came from a server where you had a reputation based on if you bailed on dungeons and what guild you were in and if you ninja looted and people knew you and it was small and it was tight knit and you only ran with the people that you knew or that you trusted their guild or whatever. And we're going to move away from that again, and that's what was really cool about the hardcore challenge was, you have that reputation, these are the people in my guild who have never died, and yeah, something
Yeah.
totally different.
I didn't think I was gonna like it.
It's
I
kind
thought it
of
was gonna.
addictive, right? Like
Yeah, it
even
is
when you
really
die,
addictive.
you feel like, okay, I know I messed up and I can do better
Right.
next time.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well that was Bob's fault. So let's do it again.
Did
He
you
won't
cry?
he won't
Did you
mess up
cry when
again.
you died? Because I cried when I died. My first death was a 55 druid. I died in a jar to the
Oh,
elemental invasion that I didn't even know existed. I rated all of classic.
oh
Oh,
It
let
was
Mel tell
just
you the first time she died in hardcore at level
no.
30. This is a good story.
We were going strong. We were doing really well. We were level 30. We were in
Warlock, priest, it was
Stormwind.
kind of easy, to be
Yeah, we
fair.
were in Stormwind. I went to go turn in a quest. The Ani event started, and I was like,
oh, I
hmm.
remember this.
Yeah, I was like, I think I can get through here. And I walk through, nothing. Turn in my quest, and I'm like, all right. And I walk back out, and I'm just like instantly dead. And I'm like, and it was the first time I had died in hardcore, right? So it like takes a second to sink in because I'm used to dying a lot
I
in
wasn't
Right.
raids.
supposed
Me
to
too. I
die.
I died tons. It was a joke. I was like I tanked the floor like the feral druid, you know?
Yeah, well, the priest healer in TBC died a lot. Not for lack of skill, obviously, but um, they, I would die all the time, right? So I died, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, I just died,
She had
and
no
I was
clue
just
that
like,
those mobs
I was
could
in
cleave her as she
shock.
walked
I
by.
was just like in shock at that moment, like I couldn't do anything else. And then Bob's like, "What? What?" And I'm like, "I can't talk to you right now, Bob. I'm trying to process what just happened to me."
All the
Like,
work, all the time that it took for you to
oh,
progress to there. It doesn't matter if you're level 12 or it took you 3 hours, or if you're 55 and I had what 6 days and 18 hours
mm.
played at my death. Like
It's so hard too because I feel like you always plan for the future, right? So you've got all this like stuff stocked up. You're like, I'm about to make a bunch of potions in my alchemy. I got all this stuff in my bank, and then you die, and you're like, oh, that all goes away. It's very sad. But I
it's
did have people like immediately message me like delete your character, delete your character, and I was like, whoa, I have to res, and apparently I have to check my mailbox. That's
right.
really annoying.
The
It's
first
like you
time I
cannot delete.
The first time I died on a character of consequence was my 55. And I just like came from that like raider mentality, right? I'm like, I have
Hmm.
all this stuff for mongoose. I probably had like 20 mongooses made, right? Like I had mongoose stuff. I had like 80 gold, which I was like poor because I was always buying
Yeah.
consumes and stuff. I had bags and travelers backpacks and stuff, and people like before real hardcore add-on and like the road to rag push, people were kind of like, well, just delete whatever you do is all the stuff, whatever. If you have a multi-lifer character on the server, just most people didn't play on Bloodsail on their mains, and my
Yeah.
main was on Bloodsail, which is where Hardcore was hosted before Seasons of Mastery. And I was like, am I really gonna delete like 20 mongoose pods? I had like a really hard time with that. It was like all of this money, right? Like
The real
even if it's
struggle right
fake,
here.
like that was part of the hardest part about it was like it is like if
Like,
it
can
was
I not have a
Diablo, it would just
living
be
will?
gone. The living
Yeah.
will, right? I grant all
This
my
goes to
mongoose
my
pods to
All of
multi-lifer
a
Aprikat.
friend
sudden,
so-and-so.
I feel like all of a sudden Aprikit's scream like just goes fuzzy, and she's like, "Mail to my other character." Like, just
Well, so
get
I
it done.
deleted the character and then I like left it, and because Blizz has that restore feature, a few months later I restored her and like was like, I'm not farming for next, fuck that. And then I went back and I got all those plague runes and all those mountain solar sages.
I
And I was
love
like,
it.
I'm good for a week or
You're
two.
like, yeah, no, forget that.
But then I deleted her for good, and she still is in the restore. You can still restore characters infinitely, I guess, but I have no
Oh.
need for I have 660 druids and 370 druids. 5 of which are hardcore. So I have 5 hardcore druids. I'm good. I don't need any
Trophies.
more. Yeah,
Damn.
I don't need
Right.
any more.
That's something I did notice about the hardcore. Like when I finally, after 4 or 5 rogues, 35, 29, 18, 8, 60.
I didn't
Sorry.
even die at 8.
Because I was in the shadow
At low
zone and
level, yeah.
I busted my way out. But like I saw my name in the hardcore Hall of Fame on the website. I started scrolling through, and it's interesting how many people keep doing the same class over and over again. And I get it now that I've done it, because like you get better and better each time at it. Like
People do challenges and like no, this most recent run I did 0 dungeons, like completely solo self-found. No dungeons, no world buffs, no, like obviously not world buffs, but I didn't even get a song flower or anything like that. Before that I'd done druids, that did like dungeons with people and stuff like that. So but yeah, you do. But also because when so in between my first 60 death on Seasons of Mastery, which I deleted, which is one of the weirdest feelings on earth, is to delete a max level character, right? Just like gone forever. Um,
How'd you die?
I went into Dire Maul Arena with a brand new tank, thinking that was a smart idea, and I trusted him. And we had 2 bosses in the Dire Maul Arena. First of all, it flags you for PvP. And second of all, 2 bosses and they teleport. They're meant for like 10 people just for one boss. So we
the little place in the center.
the Coliseum.
Okay, yeah, okay, I
Yeah,
forgot about
the
that.
Dire Maul Arena, and we lasted about 10 minutes before we died, but we all wiped. So
Oh,
I was about 1 hour at 60 for
Dang.
Road to
oh
Rag.
no.
So it was pretty embarrassing and like
That
Damn.
upsetting.
sucks.
But I then went to a priest and I died to the Tiger Barn. And
Mm.
when I died at 37 at the Tiger Barn, I was like, fuck
Maybe
this.
it has something against priests. Like,
Maybe.
maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's like
But I was
racist
like, why
against
am I
priests.
even memeing? I can't get to 60 on any other classes. I'm just gonna go back to Druid, which I did do a shaman and a rogue to 60, but um it's not the same. Like all I wanted was to be in the road to Rag, and I wanted to kill Ragnaros and everything. So I was like, I'm gonna do a Druid again. I guess
Yeah.
that's how it turned out. I wouldn't
That's
have
how I
been able
felt
to
when
heal anyway.
I tried to do druid, and I was like, because I had played a druid before, and I was like, okay, I'll try to do a druid. Let's try this. And we died, and I was like, we died at like 35, I think, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do my priest. I'm just way more comfortable on my priest. And I feel like if we're ever gonna get to 60, it's gonna have to be on my priest because I know my buttons, and I don't have to switch
Yeah,
back between
exactly.
like retail or between TBC and classic
Yep.
and figure out like, oh yeah, I'm a druid now. I need to do X, Y, or Z versus I'm a priest in raid. And I think that's worked out better for us for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. So so let's talk about the hardcore. Like so, you've talked about you're the hardcore event coordinator, but like give us like what is your role in the hardcore communities?
I started actually as the official liaison from the RP community of Bloodsail Buccaneers to like I was the peace treaty between the RP community and hardcore because not only did hardcore come in and kind of F stuff up for the server because they don't participate in the community or the
Mm.
economy, um, but they also don't follow naming rules, especially with so many people that were hardcore put HC at the end of their name, which wasn't like technically allowed like by
Oh,
the rules of RP servers.
question for I was actually worried about that when I was pushing for Grobulus. Like, would my name even be okay
What is
for?
it? Is it Blazing Bob
Yeah,
in game?
it's exactly like my stream name.
They don't really report anymore. I'm sure if you went to Grobulus, there's probably like poop butt number 4, or you know what I mean? Like they don't really, but they used to. I had on Twisting Nether, I had my names reported constantly for having non-RP names. I don't
What
think
is
that
an RP name? I'm so
anything
curious.
that
That's an RP
could
name.
be a real name or like having to do with like your class or something like that.
Mel, you have
Um,
an RP name.
I
You
do?
took
right.
you took a name and then you made it like a different name. It's just like a fantasy name.
Like if
Yeah.
my name on my rogue was Cuddlebot, and because it had bot in it, it got reported. Because I would like gank people and then I would cuddle them when they died. That was my RP or whatever. And I got my name reported like 7 times, and that was before you could pay to have it changed and whatever. So
Oh God.
That's why on a RP server, little known fact for you, if you play Alliance, the best race you can be is a gnome because you can have absolutely ridiculous names, but
because
they're
they
still
yeah
RP names.
cog anything or
I'm
whatever.
I'm
So
Cog Zippity Zoodoo.
so I started watching hardcore because of a pretty important hardcore streamer named Nom Nom. Do you guys know him?
Hmm.
I
We
know
actually did
Nom
a
Nom
dungeon
well.
with him,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's how
When
I
we were
first met
leveling
him.
our hardcore, like he was leveling an ult or something, and he got into our Dead Mines dungeon. We were like, all right,
Let's
we got
go.
this.
So Nam Nam was the first person who ever did the challenge on every class, but also he was one of the only people who streamed hardcore when hardcore was not alive. And
Hmm.
I was running around during the war effort for AQ picking Firebloom for like 4 days to the point of just wanting to puke. And I was starting to get mad because I would see this tiny gnome warrior running around using a staff. And I was like, bro, why are you using a staff? Like, go get a sword off the
S-
auction house. Like, I will
Staff's
give you
actually
money.
really
Well,
good
and he's
though.
like, "I'm doing the hardcore challenge. It's a solo self-found, like, kinda like Iron Man. You can't trade, you can't use the auction house." And I was like, "That's stupid. Why would you ever do
That was
that?"
my initial thought too.
And
I
then
was
2
like, I'm
days
sorry.
later, he
Same.
convinced me to make a character, and the hardcore community really kinda, like, upset a lot of the RP community of Bloodsail Buccaneers, and I was a mod for the server, I was a major, like, community member, and one of the only streamers on the servers, and I started to stream hardcore, and I kinda acted as, like, the peace the peace, whatever, treaty between the 2 uh, and Cargos was like, "Yo, I need you. I want you to be a mod for hardcore. I want you to be part of our community. You can be part of our stream team. Like, if you're gonna do this, like, I love this. Thank you." And I kind of like slowly like pawed my way up through a lot of like the big boys, like Grays and Cargos and Winkies and stuff. And I started to manage the servers, but not like moderating in the way like people are like, "Oh, you said a bad word, delete or whatever." I would do daily like positive messages and community spotlights, which are still in the Discord. I haven't done one in a while. And I would take like a member of the community and like ask them in a little interview, kind of like this, and then post it for everyone to go find their socials and to read their answers and stuff. And I like brought the community together. And it was something that was really important when it was small because this is a solo challenge and everyone is by themselves. It can be really lonely,
Yeah.
especially
I've
with
talked about that.
there's so many servers
I've
to
talked
play
about
on
that
too.
many times. Like the only thing that actually I started streaming regularly, and the hardcore challenge is actually what made me comfortable with streaming all the time because They helped me so much and kept me company because I was so lonely when I was just doing solos, and, like, chat actually kept me sane. So it's interesting, like
It's funny though, the thing that we all like, we've all said things about the community, the teamwork, the mentality is what we love about the game. And then we all like find our place in this hardcore where the game it like takes away your community in the game, but you get this community outside of the game, right? Because you're in this hardcore community in the game. And so I feel like there's this difference where initially I was like, well, that's the whole reason I play the game is to play with friends and to make
Right.
friends and to work together, right? Why would I do it when I can't do that? But there is so much to be said about the community that's not like that's outside the game helping you, right? And giving you support and
Just
still
even
feeling that.
just even, like, the insanity that is that these people were able to go into a 40-man raid with just volunteers, right? Like, most people that played Road to Rag that did farming and stuff, they didn't get paid for what they were doing.
Right.
It was literally like a labor of love, like a real war
We're gonna
effort.
do this.
yeah, and you had
Exactly.
people that weren't even in the raid farming for like, it was a
One
huge
guy,
effort.
Flinzy, his name is, he farmed so many eels. He said if anyone ever says the word eels around him again, he might throw up. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Flinzy's come in and
crazy to
talked to me a
see
lot. He's a cool
something
guy.
that's completely alone like that come together to create this like crazy, like just
Group
gigantic effort
challenge.
that will never be forgot. I don't think because I think while it wasn't necessarily a difficult task to clear the raid, the amount of effort and people that had to go into getting it to that point was
Yeah, the only
immense.
reason it wasn't difficult, I think, was because of the amount of time that people spent mapping out every single second of that raid, right? Like it
Right.
it would have been difficult even with very skilled players to just go in there
I mean, we die
without
all the time,
yeah.
with in even in tier 2, tier 3 gear, we still went into Molten Core and somebody blew up with the Geddon bomb and
Yeah.
blew up the raid, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, like it
at least
happens.
once every couple months.
I do
So
feel like, and I told Yip and Bob this the other day, like a couple weeks or when I first started playing hardcore, I was like, I feel like I do better in my TBC priest and I die less because I'm much more concerned about dying because I've been doing hardcore for so much, right? So like I used to die all the time on my priest. Like I just like my life wasn't like the priority, right? I was looking at all the raid frames and like I just didn't really factor in my life. And after I started doing hardcore seriously, I was like, oh, I need to heal myself. Fuck
see,
you.
I think
Like
I'm the
you're gonna
opposite
die.
of you
Like
now. Because
really?
because I can't die on my hardcore characters, I get into raids and I'm like, "I can't wait to die, it's gonna be cathartic." Like, I died on Leo last night, and I was like, "I'm not even mad. I'm just gonna sit here and wait for my loot," you know what I mean? Unfortunately, we wiped, so I had to stay alive the
Oh
next turn,
man.
but this is
I
funny.
did die. We have one other holy priest that was raiding with us this last week or on Thursday. And I was stacked on top of him and he died and went into his little angel form. And I was like, did I die? And I'm like,
See?
nope, nope, I didn't die. Okay, I'm good. Because I could still heal, right? So it's not like I just it was a moment of it's fine.
He dies a lot. It's cool.
I know everybody always thinks it's me too when he dies because I was the only holy priest for a really long time.
Oh man, that's great. So, all right, so are there any events going on right now? I've heard the events went a little crazy, and then like a bunch of events started all at the same time. Like the one I know about for sure is the TBC one, and then I know Cargos is doing a hardcore cup.
Yep,
Unfortunately,
on
next
Saturday
week
the
during
5th.
where I have to go to our best friend's wedding, but
Oh,
yeah, it sucked because I
unfortunately.
was so excited. I've never been able to do a hardcore cup, and I can't do it. But yeah, so
He also
tell us
scheduled
what's
our
going on.
podcast next week for during the wedding
Oh yeah,
and then was like, I can't believe that you didn't tell me that. And I'm like, you literally said it 3 weeks ago on the podcast that you can't do the hardcore cup because it's on March 5th.
that's a we're having Willie on the show next week. That's a horrible headache I have to deal with next week, like to figure out how to schedule that to where we can do it. But
Have fun, yep.
um,
So we
yeah,
do
so
have
events.
like kind of a lot of stuff going on, and that's because everything is kind of so it's hard because hardcore was never big. And then this event, the Road to Reg event, like kind of blew it up, right? A lot of people were invested. They
Blew
were
it
really
up.
interested. Right. And it's kind of trickling back to where its roots were, where, you're not seeing as many people playing it. You're not seeing as many people streaming it. People are taking breaks. They're a little burnt out. Everything that's coming up with the Road to Nefarian, which would be the next obvious progression, is kind of time gated behind a couple things. And um I played on EU for all of Road to Reg. I died really, really early at the first week. I think I was like on day 4. I died at 35 on NA, so I went right over to EU because it was way less populated at the start. It was impossible to reroll on Obsidian Edge. Um,
It was definitely packed.
Losing a lot of the NA major raid leaders and players and streamers really like kind of diminished interest. What the goal is to get into Nefarian, but I think that doesn't come until ZG comes out because there's just not enough gear from Molten Core's not a
It's
great
bad gear.
raid. It's not great raid gear, right? It's
Yeah.
it's very weak. There's not a lot of like BiS things that and whatnot, and because
We farmed it for months and months and
Yeah,
really
months.
well, I
like
mean,
the best thing you get is your bindings,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
maybe a hand of reg,
Well,
a
basically,
couple of
like
Yeah,
weapons.
yep. Tell us about those bindings.
Dire Mall was huge, right?
Yes,
For Road to
absolutely.
Reg.
Absolutely, because that wasn't out originally when Molten Core came out. That gear was not available yet. It was still it was in what, like 1.2 or whatever patch it was,
It was
1.3.
like in the middle of phase 2, right?
Right.
They
Yeah,
brought it out
exactly.
early because of the whole. I don't remember exactly, but yeah,
So I know
it's
that
good
NA
gear.
and EU both intend to try. Hopefully there will be a little bit more interest in Steam later on. I unfortunately don't know that you'll be able to pull enough interest without honestly a lot of, especially on NA, but maybe as well on EU, without those like big players kind of like creating the hype and whatnot. What EU had that was different, which was really interesting to me, is EU didn't have a single streamer from the streamer draft or even like major streamers, Guzu, um, Frosted Thomas, all of them, all of the normal EU streamers went NA. So they did it all as a labor of love. Like there was no everyone that was playing it on EU was doing it for the pride of doing it, and I thought that was really cool. They want to go back to Nef. Same with NA. I just don't know that there will be that interest necessarily. Um, I
Well,
had
and
been pushed.
people. Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, people have been pushing for the TBC challenge as of late,
Well, I
right?
had been pushing for that for forever. I hit the world
Wait,
first
before we go
70.
to that though, before we go to that, did you do Road to Rag on EU
I did
or NA or
on
both?
EU.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I leveled 2
Yeah,
druids to 60 and promptly missed the kill.
she was on NA first, died, and then went to EU after she lost her
I was
55,
just
right?
making sure.
I was 35 when I died in Nomer.
Oh, okay.
With Jamin. He forgot to
Everybody
Oh,
dies
ban
in
him from it.
Nomer. I didn't even
Nomer's
do Nomer.
terrible.
yeah, I
I've
didn't
never
do
done
Nober at
Nomer
all.
because I'm terrified of it.
So I actually, when TBC came out, hardcore kind of like died again as new expansion, exciting things happen. Um, as kind of content was farmed and everything like that, I started just continuing like characters that I got to 60 through TBC, and I ended up getting my druid to 70. I was the world first 70 hardcore druid, and nobody cared. And it's not that that's anything that people should care about, but hardcore obviously is established as a mode now. Why do you only have to do it in classic? And I thought
Right.
something that was really inaccessible for so many people was that there was this very elite 40-man raid of the hand-picked 40 people out of thousands of people who made it to 60 on NA. this road to Kara that EU decided to do, which I had nothing to do with, honestly. Um, they it's very accessible. 10 people with maybe like a backup of 1 to 2 is way less, right? Like
Hmm.
um it's still just as dangerous, if not more so. I died so many times to those horses charging in the beginning, standing around like,
Oh yeah.
priests are gonna be dying left and right. Like you almost don't want
No.
to bring a priest to Kara. But it was now we have this game mode established. There are people who want to play with the talent trees from TBC. They're probably going to want to be people that are going to want to play it in Wrath. It doesn't have to be only classic, and that was something that I kept saying and I kept saying, and a lot of people were really like, nah, whatever, like wishy washy about it. And the EU was like, no, let's go. We're going. We're gonna do Road to Kara. Like, let's get some people to 70. Let's see these world first hardcore 60 plus dungeons. No one ever to this day yet has done a zero death on purpose blood furnace or a
Hmm.
zero death ramparts. I'm really excited to see some of that content and how people play it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's insane because I think there's hesitation because you can't transfer like a 0 to 60 hardcore player to TBC to then go 60 to 70, right?
Right.
And I think that is a little bit of a barrier, right? Because they have
But
to pick one or the other.
But what's crazy is I like Nom's been doing TBC hardcore. I was watching and like the itemization change from vanilla to TBC is actually quite nuts. Like the
Oh
gear
yeah, so
throughout
much
all
gear
the
is different,
dungeons, yeah,
and
it's
they drop
really good.
blues now, and the dungeon quests are nice. It's actually a
Yeah.
really cozy experience, 1 to 60. Because I did a shaman 1 to 60 in TBC just for fun, because I liked enhancement and it was a blast to play. And it was like an enjoyable leveling experience. Like I
Mhm.
like hardcore, but it's kind of terrible. Like
Well,
right, like
Yeah,
1 to 60
agreed.
for the 90th time is like, ugh.
and
I have to do
something
Badlands one more time.
it's something I think went like we talked about it on the pod when TBC was coming out, the change in itemization, but it's something that kind of went under the radar because of the boost that came out.
Okay,
So
so here's my
people
thing
haven't
though. Like,
realized how easy it is to like, or not easy, but how much of a cleaner experience it is to level 1 to 60
That's
in TBC.
streamlined more too, so.
Yeah.
it is. But here's my thing is now you're splitting this already like smaller community now, right? It was very booming, right? But now it's getting smaller. And so now you're splitting that, right, on people who are going to a TBC server versus a classic era server, right? And if everybody from the classic era server came to the TBC server, then they could continue to grow, right? But then it's like, do you want that? Do you want them to continue to
And
like live on?
so here's and I get that a lot because I felt the same way originally when TBC hardcore when TBC came out and people were like, I'm not leveling like normal, I just want to play hardcore. Everyone just played TBC hardcore. And then a lot of the bigger streamers are like, no, hardcore is for classic, like we're going back, we're gonna play on era servers, like dead servers, whatever, we don't care, it's hardcore. There's 19,000 people in the hardcore Discord. If that's splitting the community of 19,000 people, let them play where they want. I don't
Right.
I get that there's a lot of people who are bitter or upset that this can be played on multiple platforms. We have Seasons of Mastery, we have Classic Era, TBC, NAEU, like 7, 8 Horde Alliance, like so many options, but like play what you want to play.
Oh, of course.
You
Yeah.
don't even have to try to raid. Like
Yeah.
people
Like
just play
I
what you
just
want to
enjoy
play.
investing and
I
leveling
wanna try
and
Ras. I wanna try Kata hardcore. I tried hardcore on retail. I died at 29. Like, like it
is
was
there a hardcore app for TBC? Does it
it
work in
does work.
Yes.
Yep.
TBC?
Yep. It works
Hmm.
100%.
Yep, yeah, it was unfortunate because I accidentally loaded it on TBC when I was starting the hardcore challenge, and it was about a 5-minute deal where I was frustrated and couldn't understand why I couldn't open the mailbox or the auction
Yeah, I
house.
had that the other day. I logged in for Raid and I was like, "Oh, I need to buy stuff for Raid." And I went into the auction house. It's like, "You can't use this. Auction The hardcore mode is
Oh
turned
yeah.
on." And I was like, "What? Oh my god, you're
Okay,
right."
well, that must be something they added since I tried, because all happened for me was just right click and nothing happened. I'm like, "What's
Oh,
going on?"
Oh no, they won't even let you click on it now. Because I've like accidentally clicked on it because I'm just in like my mode of like, oh, go check your mail, right? And I'm like, oh, thank God it doesn't let you click on it, right? Because I'm sure I'd get flagged as like, you checked your mail and got this spam email from a gold farmer. Um, but I think my point more so was that I feel like the hardcore community continues to grow because of the community, right? And if we can get the community in not even in the same spot, right? Like they don't all need to be on one server in one guild, like doing that. But
like
I'll
one
tell you,
goal.
yeah, just like not even one goal, but just still communicating as a community, right? And like helping each other out. Like if there's this like splinter community doing TPC and the splinter community doing this, it just feels like it's a little bit more like a solo challenge at
I
that point,
agree.
right?
I think there's also a lot of people who have leveled so many characters through Classic that it's just exhausting to even
Hmm.
conceptualize doing it. Like I've leveled eight, 8 characters, 8 or 9 characters to 60. I don't know that I have the stomach to do it yet again. And I don't know that it's like interesting content to offer to my community either. I'm not doing it for a personal gain per se, but I don't know that I think that when people get into those that new content, that stuff we've never seen before, I think people are going to be interested and they might come. So,
I mean,
I agree.
I've had multiple people, Mega Man in chat, like he comes in my chat all the time, and he talks about how he wants to do the hardcore challenge, but only when Wrath starts. So I think there is people that want to do that, but
I just
to
wanna get more people invested in this fun activity. Like, I've
I think
enjoyed it so much. Like, I
I think
just
there's
want more people.
yeah, I think honestly the best way to grow it is more just being an advocate for it and just
Mhm.
talking about how fun it is as a game mode, and it is completely optional, and there's you can play with whatever rules you want. Like there are official rules, but you don't have to be super strict. You can do just literally like whatever like version of it you want. Because at the end of the day, like Blizzard isn't handing out little prizes for like good job, here's your
I
epic
expect a
mount that
prize
you
when I
get,
get there.
your
I
little like
still have my
collector mode or
buff,
whatever.
so
Right.
that's a
Like
prize.
exactly. And it's a personal challenge. And if anyone were to say like your personal challenge isn't as important because you did it on TPC, then whatever to them.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, well, we do have time constraints, so I'm going to end it out here with a last question. What do you think the future? What are your thoughts on the future of hardcore going forward in Classic?
Did we just talk about that?
Kinda. I don't
Kinda,
know.
kinda, but
I don't
like
know like that.
I was more looking towards like servers that actually delete your character for you and things of that nature
Mm.
going
I think what
forward.
Blizzard is looking at, if I'm not mistaken, is like a hardcore layer. The idea of it just deleting your character like Diablo is something I don't think that they want to do. I understand why from my own perspective of holy cow, I spend a lot of time on this character. Like it'd be nice, you know what I mean, if it didn't just poof, I could like
You're like,
grieve
so I
it
can
for a
Well,
restore
little
it
bit
later and
or whatever.
oh, yeah, okay, so like okay, so to like add on to that, like what I'm talking about is like possibly if there's a server like that, maybe maybe the hardcore rules of of Cargos's community maybe change. We're talking like if Blizzard actually takes the reins, so you
I
could, mail
use the
stuff
auction
off.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, trade with other hardcore people. There's a private server called Turtle WoW that has a hardcore mode very similar to what we play, and I've played on it before. Um, and you are expected to trade with your guildies as long as they're hardcore. Like you can't trade with non-hardcore people.
right.
Um, but someone gets like a really a nice epic, you don't just like keep it, and it's a really cool, actually like better question mark version
Yeah.
of hardcore because that brings that
Keeps the
community
community.
back
Yeah.
back in. Absolutely. And people grieve your death more when they're invested in you.
Right.
Um,
They're like, no, you were making all my potions.
I do think some things about that kind of do negate the positives of self-inflicted rules. My main example is the idea of being able to run dungeons more than once. Kind of like take away from some of the challenge. You know, if you're like twinked out in like the best blue dungeon gear all the time, then mobs,
Yeah.
you know, your level or whatnot aren't as difficult. But I think there's ways to work around that, or even just make it like a personal rule, like I will only do the dungeon one time or
Do you
whatnot.
think
So
that, and I know we're on a time crunch, but do you think that the increase that they saw in Classic Season of Mastery during the Road to Rag event will prompt them, Blizzard, to look at things like that in the future, right? Because I feel like looking at the fact that their Season of Mastery server was partially very successful because of the Road to Rag event, and how do they replicate that in the future, right? Like that
I think
can't just be on the community.
and I don't have numbers to back it, but I think what we see as like high volume for the community like paled compared to Jam Gabar or like is it King's Fall? I can't think of the name of the EU mega server for Classic. Um but like yes, they obviously have recognized that Cargos is in contact with some of the devs and stuff for the Classic community. Now with it changing ownership hands, we don't know what happens
Right.
that way. They do see it, they do recognize it. Obviously they added those buffs, they knew about the road to Rag. They added that buff that you know, with the new graphic when you killed Rag and you didn't die, you got a new graphic update. They see that. I just don't know how
Mhm.
important it's going to be. I think it depends on if Wrath does well, honestly, is what it's gonna
See,
come down to.
Fair.
I just wonder
If
because if you look at Ironforge.pro, there's still only 10,000 people raiding in Season of Mastery. I think there was definitely more than that in the hardcore stuff early on. So I think hardcore was actually the talking point of Season of Mastery, and that's just my opinion. But looking at the stats,
Yeah, but
like it
how
really
much
and
of
feels
so
that way.
that?
let's
I don't want to throw a wrench in, but how much of that is the fact that it came out right after Vanilla just
True,
ended?
true, very true. Like it was too
And
soon
pretty
for
much
the like hardcore rating
it was
crowd.
too soon.
and
Well, yeah,
very
it's when
close to TBC launching,
Yeah,
right.
right? Like,
We were 2 raids in. I
yeah.
wasn't ready for Classic yet, and I remember
Mm-mm.
thinking to myself, "Gross, like, if I have to go through, you know, 60 again, like, I
Yeah.
just finished. I have, you know, all these 60s in Classic, like,
Yeah,
did
like
it
I'm all
all."
done with that.
I beat it in my brain. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
"Rock and roll, ready
literally
for the
have
next
every
adventure."
item,
I never thought
everything.
I was gonna be going back to Classic, honestly, and I kind of was mad at the other hardcore streamers when they went back to Era instead of coming to TBC. I was like, "No, stop
No,
it.
guys.
I don't wanna do this anymore. I'm bored of it." You know what I mean? So, but they didn't play
Yeah.
as hard as some of us did.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, I didn't play as hard as you did, but I was still like, too soon, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
way too soon.
Especially with how incomplete Classic felt like, and that was part of its charm, but it was also part of its failing, IMO,
Yeah,
so
agreed.
All right, guys. Well, this has been one banger of a show, but
yeah, I had so much fun.
we've got to end it out. So we don't have an add-on of the week unless you have an add-on you really love that you want to talk about.
What's training? Do you know about that one? It's a great hardcore add-on.
All right, hold on. Let's move on to the add-on of the week.
All right, is that a new one for you guys? My
Yes.
Yeah.
favorite add-on recently is a great add-on called What's Training. It actually knows every rank and the price of every spell that you get for every level. So,
What?
you know, you can look in advance and see at level 38, I get, you know, a new Wind Fairy totem. It's going to cost me 4 gold. I better have 4 gold for that.
Okay.
And it's for every class and it's for vanilla and TBC. So you know every rank and how much it costs. It's great little add-on. I love it so much.
No, I actually want that for my multi-life rogue right now in TBC because I haven't trained since 65 and I have to keep Googling. I'm like, should I go back now?
Yeah, I love
No,
it.
I'm good.
I'll find a link and post it in your chat.
Yeah,
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 because
definitely.
I need that
Post it.
massively.
It's
'Cause
great
I'm
for
always like,
every alt. It's great for every alt
I
too.
always go to the trainer, especially in hardcore, and I'm like, oh, what can I buy? Is it worth it to come here? Like,
Yeah, and post it in the Discord chat too,
Sure.
so that I can put it in the show notes for the audience.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Nice, nice. All right. Well, we're struggling with add-on of the week because we've done so many of them that we're just like out of add-ons. So
And
I
we
mean,
can't just put
another one
any
to
add on
pass
there.
would be TRP, but that's a whole
Oh,
nother can of
true.
worms.
Yeah, we need to have a role play episode. Role players,
Bring me back for that
reach
one.
out.
I'll
Yeah,
definitely be interested.
perfect.
awesome, awesome. All right. Well, I encourage you guys to follow us on Twitter to know when we go live. That's WC Reloaded on Twitter. If you want to send us an email, something longer, do so by sending it to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to join the Mash Those Buttons Discord and interact with any host of any show, you can do so by going to mash.gg/discord. Ratings and reviews, we need more. It's been a little dry as of late. We got one this last week, but we need more. Those are on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. You can also leave us a star rating on Spotify, and you can leave a review at warcraftradio.com/directory. All right. Yep. Where can we find you?
Hello, you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch at The Yip Show.
Awesome. And Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch, or you can find me on Benediction
Oh
in
my
a couple
god.
weeks.
Oh,
Oh God,
wow.
on
Yeah.
Mel Arena.
Uh,
Casimo saved my name. Shout out to Casimo. Thanks.
oh, do you have your name?
He saved it. I don't have it yet.
He gave it to me.
Don't shout,
I've got it for you. But yeah,
I was gonna say,
Casimo is
don't shout
awesome.
him out yet.
Oh,
Don't shout him out
also,
till he gives to you.
Fair.
also, Buttercakes saved my name, so I have my name too. So now I don't have to worry about that. So that's awesome. But yeah, so much gonna be happening soon. We're gonna have a lot to talk about. But
Nah.
Kat, where can we find you? Plug it all. Twitter, Twitch,
Yeah,
YouTube, everything.
most of my brand is Aprikitkat. I do Instagram daily, Twitter daily. Twitter's kind of like a wild place though. Fair warning. Adult audiences, and mostly Twitch, which is my preferred method. Come hang out, join the community. We have a really wholesome squad. It's not just hardcore people. We got all sorts of different people, walks of life. Lots of really wholesome and good people in that community. And I do have a Discord, but you can only join if you join the stream. So
There you go.
Awesome.
you.
And guys, that's on Twitch, it's Aprikitkat. So definitely follow her, and you're not going to be able to stop watching once you tune in. So definitely tune in. And you can
I
find me
appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
definitely. And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me now for the last couple months streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/BlazinBob. Catch our raids Tuesday and Thursday nights, and you can catch me just doing whatever I'm doing a lot of time. So come hang out, and thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for the show. Tell everybody bye.
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 Nice, nice. All right, you guys are okay to stop your regular recording. Don't close it out yet. We
Okay.
are gonna any suggestions for who to raid?
Oh,
We got Jamin do a noob course. Should we do Jamin?
yeah, definitely.
All right, let's do it.
Everyone likes that too.
Dude, he
It's
has
super
such
fun.
a good voice.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want me to export this as? I'll just get it started because it's like
Wave.
3 hours long. Wave?
Wave would be the best.
Yep.
Okay. And
All right,
then
guys, tell Jamin we love him. Tell him he has the best voice. of any WoW content creator, and we will see you next week. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye 2.0.